But earmuff, you stay on hard.
All right, hello, good evening. Welcome to another edition of the BCSN SportWrap. I'm Brian Fulford. That's A.D. Drew, and we are. You good now? You good now, Drew? You good?
Of course not. This is what happened when you knock equipment over right before the show was about to begin. You can't get everything set back up where it's supposed to be at.
I got you. It's never quite where it's supposed to be, where you want it to be when you need it to be there, right?
There you go.
You look good. You look good. Well, hopefully you got a good extra 60 minutes of rest, and that you're feeling
And boy,
empowered.
did I need it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Are you a fan of this whole? Now, what is it? Is it daylight savings time? Is that what just occurred? I still can't get it right. Okay, so it's daylight savings.
Yes.
Time. But I don't feel like
not.
Are we saving any daytime though? Because I feel like this is the period when everything gets darker.
Yeah, well, the daylight savings time portion is during the months where you set your clock forward because you get more hours of daylight. And there's a whole history behind why America went to this, when America went to it. A few other countries adopted it. You know, they've talking about making it permanent with the daylight savings time. But today's show is not the show to get into that because we've got a jam-packed show and we've got too much football to talk about. We'll save that for maybe in March when we move the clocks forward. And the only thing we have during that time is wrapping up basketball and baseball and softball. So we'll probably have a little bit more time in March. But November is not the time to talk about it.
But we got an extra 60 minutes, Drew. I mean, we got more than enough time.
Not on this podcast, we don't.
Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying. Okay, so I may have to go in and reword the title of the show from an extra 60-minute episode just to a because you know what that means. You know, sometimes we get a habit of going long a little bit when we do these things.
Can I get something out the way? Last thing on this daylight savings time thing.
Yeah.
To give y'all a hint. If you work today, you can use the I didn't get to work on time excuse. But it really doesn't work because the clocks move back an hour. So even if you were late, you should have been early today. You got to save that one for March. You can't use this tomorrow. The clock and everything else because you, especially now when everybody has cell phones and your cell phone automatically restarts. Back in the day, we used to be able to use that excuse, but not anymore.
Right, I get you. Can't really use that anymore the way it goes. Well, Drew already mentioned to you we got a busy show tonight, so it's appropriate that we do get an extra 60 minutes. In theory, maybe in our minds, we get an extra 60 minutes because we got coaches, media folk coming in because we got a lot to talk about. Week 10 just concluded. Coming up in the show at the bottom of hour one, Stephen Gaither of HBCU GameDay.com is going to join us. We're going to talk about the CIAA, hit on a few other things as well. Then at the top of hour 2, really in hour 2, it's our coaches hour, because we're going to first start with the head coach of the Northern Division CIAA champions. That's right, the Virginia Union Panthers. Dr. Alvin Parker is going to join us at the top of the hour. Then at the bottom of the hour, our coach, Coach Farasi Norman, is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. And then, the overtime edition, that extra 60 minutes that we talk about, that we sometimes do go over. We got Charles Edmond of
Sometimes.
State Sports Network.
Every week during football season.
Yeah. He's going to join us in, I guess we just call that the 8 o'clock hour, or the hour number 3, because the Braves.
Bonus hour. I like bonus hour.
I like the bonus hour too. The bonus hour, the Braves. I was about to say something real not PC. I'm gonna say it anyway. They cut the Jaguars' tail off. I was gonna say scalp them, but they cut their tail off. Is what they did. That's what they did. They cut the Jaguars' tail off and sent them back to Baton Rouge, licking their wounds. We're gonna talk to them. And now Alcorn is in that mode of being one of those hot teams that everybody's talking about. But before we get into the good news, want to thank everybody for jumping in. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, the Jericho Broadcast Network's YouTube page, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Hopefully you are already subscribed. You can also join and become a JBN member and show your support to everything that we do here at the Black College Sports Network by becoming a JBN member. You can also join the page. And if you're watching us on Facebook, whether you're on the SportWrap Facebook page or on the Black College Sports Network Facebook page, hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're joined, and everybody share the show. That'd be great. Go ahead and share the show. Thank everybody for coming in. Quick roll call that I see on people. I see there's Coach Farasi already checked in. Tamara T, good to see you as well. Jeff Roberts, Aggie Pride. Yeah, there's still some pride in that saying. I actually backed you guys, Jeff, and was let down. I backed Hampton. I put Hampton and A&T on a 2-teamer, Drew, and I'm thinking there's no way on Jiho that A&T would let me down. I knew Hampton was going to win. I just had a feeling with Hampton's quarterback and running back coming back. I just knew. Man, dang it. That's what I'm going to say right there. So y'all let me down, Jeff. Your boys
G
let me
dang
down.
it for G-Ho.
Yeah, exactly. Y'all let me down. Appreciate you, Chuck Hunt, checking in. One of them sad days in Louisiana, boy. Grambling loses. Southern, of course, taken out to the woodshed. Israel, good to see you checking in. You got to explain to us, Israel, what that fan was thinking about, that JSU fanatic who got his tail whooped by a tuba player in the Ocean of Soul. You have to explain to us what the hell was he thinking, because he got whooped while the dude was playing a note, got knocked out, and then the dude and the tuba player was still playing. I was just like, holy cow. That's
some skills, Brian.
That was skills. That goes down as the punch of the day, punch of the week, might be the punch of the month. You show me somebody that can handle a tuba and a 2-piece, and you show me a guy that I want to go to battle with. So the Ocean of Soul should jump up in the HBCU Band of the Year rankings because of that. I'm going to tell you now. I'm serious. They should jump up in the rankings. What's that section? I don't know if there's a section for the stand band or whatever you do.
Auxiliaries.
The auxiliaries, yes.
That's auxiliaries.
Yes, that was an auxiliary 2-piece that he put on that fanatic. I got to know more about that story, but beautiful.
And maybe he'll jump up in Dr. Cavill's poll. Maybe Dr. Cavill will give him some credit.
I would. That was a win right there. I don't care what happened on the field, but that was a win right there. That was a win for SWAC Nation, matter of fact. Anyway, Okay, yeah. Thank you guys for spring up, fall back. Appreciate you, Rattler 32114. Bull, good to see you coming in, Bull. Lifetime member of the Rattler Booster Club. Let me see. What does this Chuck said? There are times that automatically change. Yeah. Okay, we got that. Sorry about that. Edward. Let's see. Is Steven going to be at Winston-Salem on Tuesday for first take? That's interesting. Well, we'll ask him when he comes.
You can ask him yourself.
Yeah, exactly, Edward. You can ask him when he comes in. Mary
Start
305.
that question.
Start. There it is. Start. Mary 305.
All
Good
right.
to see you. David Garner. Yes, Alcorn. Very, very dangerous. Very dangerous.
I see Joshua Jackson from Edward Waters is in on the chat.
How do we buy tickets for the CIAA?
Finish the season. Maybe
sorry,
Steve can help us with that.
There are a lot of logistics that I have questions about regarding all of this stuff. And you would think that tickets would already be available to purchase. I mean, it's not like you didn't know the games were going to be in Salem. It's not like, Jeff, have you checked Ticketmaster? I'm gonna start there and say, have you checked Ticketmaster? Ticketmaster is where I would start. Yes, Joshua Jackson, the voice of Edward Waters University, checking in. Good to see you, Josh. Good to see you.
Looking for a Beach Bowl bid.
Yeah, exactly. I saw Prez doing some campaigning online. So the interesting matchup. We'll talk about that and some other things from Edward Waters and the SIAC. Tony Lee Dunstan, Eagle Pride. I'm assuming that's a North Carolina Central Eagle that's checking in. Aren't they the only Eagles? How many other Eagles are there, Drew?
Now you got me thinking.
Yeah,
I think you might be right on that.
Yeah, somebody, Tamara, we'll have to send you the link and maybe if I'm good enough, I can punch it up on the screen and pop it up. But somebody post a link so Tamara can see what happened in that little incident in the stands at Jackson State. Get your SWAC championship tickets December 2nd in Tallahassee. That's where the SWAC championship game will be played. And I'm going to give you guys a pro tip right now. And I hope I'm not messing myself up here. Airbnb is what you need to learn. I want to say that real quietly. I won't be too loud about it. Airbnb. Don't worry about them hotels.
Can I give you another tip?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you two other tips. If you must stay in a hotel, stay in Georgia. Come to Thomasville, Georgia, and stay.
What's that? 30 minutes away, right?
It's about 45 minutes to campus.
Okay.
Save you about $100, a couple $100. Definitely will save you a couple of $100 easily.
Yes.
Per night. And if you got to be in Tallahassee, rent you a Winnebago, park at an RV park, and you'll save some money also.
I may try that. That's a good idea. Okay, Josh chimes in. Here's another Eagle, Coppin State. So we got the Coppin State Eagles. We got the North Carolina Central. So there's two Eagles. All right, there we go.
Both in the MEAC.
Both in the MEAC.
Is that the compliment to all the Tigers in the SIAC?
The Eagles, yeah.
Some with colors, some without.
Yeah, it's got to be. Shout out to
Will. You put it on. You put it on us.
Yeah, shout out to Florida Memorial. We'll talk about them in a moment. Got a win, 5 conference wins now. Got a chance to really make some history. Coming up here in the final regular season.
And I'll say this, Will. That was some BS of what happened to your coach. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, Drew was telling me about that on the back end. So yeah. Okay. Let me do this real quick, Drew. I want to pull in a quick slide.
Hey, before we get started, Bryan, can I get a point of special privilege?
What do you got?
This is on a personal note. Some of you guys, if you watched Dr. Kavia's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab today, I made a note about today is my late sister's birthday. She would have been 39 years old. She passed away in March of 2022. Excuse me, got the years wrong. March of 2022. So today is her birthday. So it's a special day for me, and I'll put the link in here later. But after her untimely death, there was a foundation started, the Core Faith Walker Foundation, which provides free legal, physical, and mental health services through health and wellness advocacy and outreach to individuals in the community in St. Louis, Missouri, where she lived, and in Ferguson, Missouri, where she served as a state legislature. If anybody remembers the Michael Brown incident, she was elected after the Michael Brown incident in Ferguson back in 2014. So just wanted to make note of that today. They had a fundraising brunch today. So just wanted to shout out to members of my family, both with the same last name, and all of my cousins and everything else. But I'm here for the show. I'm here for the people today.
Well, true that, Drew. You know what? I missed that part of the show, so prayers up to your family. I know firsthand how those birthdays can be especially in that first year to 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So I know that can be tough. So and I know and Drew did put the link there in the chat. So for those of you, please take a moment, maybe during one of the breaks or something, and hit that link up. Okay, of all the action that's going on, the SIAC is the gift that keeps giving, and it had been giving and giving these last few weeks, and wouldn't you know it, we get down to the last week, maybe the last hour, the last flipping game, Drew, and it is the gift that gave. And let's set this up in order. I don't know if you saw the show notes, but let's kind of run it in a particular order, because obviously going into Saturday you had top 6 teams all playing each other, so the drama was right there in the games. You had Benedict playing Allen, you had Miles playing Tuskegee, and you had Albany State playing Fort Valley, right? That was all the. Now, one of the things that I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna start on this, Drew, and this is gonna get hot, because we talked about scenarios, right? We've been asking the SIC to give us some scenarios, right? About 2 weeks before, right, when we saw this coming, right? We were like, give us some. What are the tiebreakers?
Just give us the tiebreak rules.
Right.
We don't need the scenarios yet early. We just need the tiebreak rules about 2 weeks out.
Right. So I guess right after our show last week, HBCU Game Day published the article with the scenario. So I guess they had either gotten a hold of it or it was released to them. So they posted the scenarios, and we were talking about it on the show, trying to figure out what it might be. So they posted that. Then, curiously, Drew, the conference on Thursday evening, matter of fact, 11/3, says the SIC announces contenders ahead of 2023 SIC Football Championship presented by Cricket. Benedict leads the pack, right? And so what they did in the article, I'll just summarize. They gave you scenarios. Scenario 1, what would happen if Tuskegee were to win? Scenario 2, what would happen if Fort Valley State won and Tuskegee lost? And then scenario 3, if Albany State wins and Tuskegee lost. But Drew, you pointed out something to me that I want you to repeat here. There was something that really ticked you off about that article that came out.
They assumed that Benedict was going to win. Nowhere in that release does it say what happens if Benedict would have lost. Everybody say Benedict already had everything sold up, and they may have, but there was a realistic scenario if Benedict would have lost to Allen,
What would that have meant
where
for Allen?
Benedict, huh?
I was saying, what would that have meant for Allen?
Let's stay with Benedict right now.
Okay, I got you.
Let's just stay with the Benedict.
That's gonna bring up another.
Let's just stay with the
controversy.
Benedict.
Right.
But there was a realistic scenario where Benedict, Fort Valley, and Tuskegee all would have had one loss.
Right.
Nowhere in that release, nowhere in the article released to I believe was it HBCU. I believe it was HBCU Sports, wasn't it?
I thought it was Game Day, but it could have been sports.
Okay.
Hold
Whoever
on.
it was released to,
I'll find it. Keep talking.
yeah. Whoever was released to, there was really no clarification of what happens with that three-way tie between those three people. So that was issue number one. And you want me to leave right there? You want me to keep going?
Oh, well, go ahead. Lead into the next thing. The next thing is kind of interesting as well.
Are you talking about Allen and Edward Waters?
Yes. And I have the article pulled up so I can read their statement about them, if you want.
Go ahead and read it.
So, and this let me also mention. You mentioned something about the Benedict thing in the article. They do mention here, after talking about the matchups, it says depending on the outcomes, the conference could witness a four-way tiebreaker, which I think is what possibly you're referring to, right?
No.
Well, and here's why I say that, because
that's a separate one.
Okay, but they do say in this critical juncture, the highest winning conference percentage among the common opponents will determine who advances to face Benedict during the championship game. Aha, so there you're right. There's an assumption already that Benedict is going to the championship game regardless. Right? I see what you're saying.
Like I say, that may have been the point, but that should have been stated a lot clearer that Benedict will win a tiebreaker against Tuskegee and Fort Valley. That's all I'm saying. One extra line.
Okay.
And if you want to break it down based on A, B, and C.
Right. The article goes on to state NCAA, and then under a headline called NCAA qualifications. It's important to note that while Allen and Edward Waters have made commendable strides this season, the programs are not eligible to participate in the football championship. Teams competing in the SIAC football championship must be active NCAA member institutions. Allen and Edward Waters are currently provisional member institutions. Well,
Josh, I know you on the chat lines. You may want to text me instead of chatting some things. So
no, don't worry, because the president of Edwards Waters University, in response to a tweet from D2 HBCU Football guy, in which basically his question was, why would the teams that aren't eligible for the championship, why would they count against teams going? So Dr. A. Zachary Faison Jr. commented that the SIC doesn't have any teams ineligible for the conference championship. And he said, if you're referring to us, Edward Waters and Allen, you're wrong. As D2 provisionals, our teams are fully eligible for all conference championships. We simply can't go to NCAA postseason play, the national championship, NCAA national playoffs, and national tournaments. And he used two very good examples that recently involved Edward Waters, who are the reigning SIAC softball champions and their men's volleyball championships, and that their basketball teams played in the conference tournament, advancing to the semifinals in men and women's play, and that the women's volleyball team is the two-time defending SIAC Eastern Division champs and last year's tournament runner-up. I will tell you, Drew, from a conversation that I had with Doc, he was very surprised that the conference had put this out because, according to the information that hey, look, they are a paying member of the SIAC. If Edward Waters or Allen, I can't speak for Allen, but let's just say if Edward Waters had beaten Allen University, they would have been in the hunt, right? They were very much in the mix and should have been in the mix for this. So let's just say it was very surprising that the SIC really got saved, because this could have been a cluster in a major way, with big time egg on their face, had it gone a couple of different avenues in this scenario. And so I'll just put it at that. Anything you want to add in there, Drew?
Well, with that argument, there would also be the argument that Tuskegee shouldn't go to the SIAC championship game because they cannot go to the D2 playoffs because they play in the Turkey Day Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing something out there. Now, I trust President Faison and what he says, and I know he's very careful with his wording because he is an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So just some of those things. But yeah, there was a real scenario where just based on what the information was released, I'm pretty sure they had a plan. But based on what was released, there could have been real egg in the face of the SIAC. The one thing I did find out was Miles basically had no shot. But as a fan, you don't. How could we did not know
they had no shot?
We did not know what we did. As a fan of any one of those 4 or 5 teams, we did not know what it took for us to get in. If I'm an Allen fan, I didn't know if I had a chance to get in. I thought I had a chance to possibly get in. Now, according to this, I don't have a chance. Why don't I have a chance? Same thing with the Edward Waters. I still don't understand how Tuskegee could have won that tiebreaker, but there was that one little line, if you read it at the end, Bryan, that said head-to-head matchups outside of the conference could be used to determine a tiebreaker. Which means that actually, you see that line? You see that line I'm talking about?
Hold on, let me. Where can I?
It's at the end.
It's
at the end, Bryan. I don't have the article in front of me, but it's at the end. But that actually meant that Red Tails Classic that we had overlooked because it was a non-conference conference game wound up being a factor in this. The way that's read, it's not in the SIAC article. It's in the HBC. It's in the other article.
Okay, it is. Okay. Huh.
Yes.
Well,
let's put a pin in that.
Yeah. We because we'll come back and we'll talk to Stephen Gaither, not only about these outcomes in the SIC, but we'll talk about the CIAA as well, because it just a fabulous weekend of action and drama, and trust me, it went down literally to the final hour, where one team that made it to the championship really kind of found out as they were getting off the bus from playing a game in which, I mean, look, we remember when we talked about a team that probably had maybe like a % chance of winning, or probably that 1% chance of winning and getting to the SIC championship. Well, doggone it, Drew, this is why you never say never, because that 1% turned into 100%, and they're going to the SIC championship game.
The team with the worst overall record of all the teams in contention is the one that'll be playing in Atlanta. Let's go to break.
You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back here in just a moment.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Joining us right now, Stephen Gaither of HBCUGameDay.com. Steve, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right. How are you gentlemen today?
Hey, we're doing well, man. Doing well.
Doing well.
Got a chance to catch part of your show, D2 Football Matters, earlier this afternoon. And so you kind of jump in right. We get you in right at a key point in time is what we were just talking about. I don't know if you caught or how much of before you jumped in, you caught about the tie-breaking scenarios prior to the outcomes from yesterday's SIAC games. Did the tie-breaking scenarios make sense to you? And I apologize. I don't know if that was an article you wrote or was it HBCU Sports that wrote it. What was your thoughts on the tie-breaking scenarios going in?
No, that was our article.
Okay.
So I got that from source inside the SIAC. Just again, this was early last week after week 9 had just finished. So that was kind of just it was basically just the formula. It didn't really have like the meat on the bones as far as the actual teams specific scenarios. I think that's what came out a little bit later. It was going to be interesting. Obviously, Benedict having no losses and everybody else having it, 2 teams with 1 and a couple other teams sitting down there with 2. It kind of didn't make sense that Benedict, if it made sense to me that if Benedict won, they're in. If they lose, they're probably still in just because of the way things worked out, even though it was a little bit tricky because, again, they didn't play Tuskegee. But as fate would have it, how things would go, of course, we ended up with however many teams with 2 losses, I think, 3 or 4. I joked yesterday on the road back from Virginia Union and Virginia State that they should make just the 4 teams that lost 2 games, they should make them play a quarter each against Benedict. It was a joke, and shout out to that's before I knew who was going to be it. But it just it just shows you that conference, again, they have they're the largest HBCU football playing conference. So you've got a wide range of schools, teams that, are at the bottom of the pile: Morehouse, Clark Atlanta, Savannah State, all those programs. And then you kind of got this large middle tier where it's kind of like, on any given Saturday, they could be the team to do it. So, I still was kind of confused once Tuskegee lost and Albany State was in, because again, they gave us 4 teams, and it's almost I know Drew and you guys will remember this a couple years back when we had 5 MEAC teams finish with 2 losses and 5 co-champions, but it was Morgan State who was not even arguably, they were the weakest team in the field. They got the bid to the FCS playoffs, so kind of just works out that way sometimes. It's interesting too. I remember sitting at SIAC Media Day and seeing Albany State pick to finish second with first-year head coach Gray, and that's no shout to him. I mean, obviously what he's done has been great, but they had a tough schedule to start. New coach, rookie coach. You figure there'd be some growing pains, and so to pick them second kind of just seemed like, oh well, people are just saying that, because what have you. But when the smoke clears, they're playing in the championship game, so you can't begrudge them that, or again, that's why we play the game. So
and Steve, just so you know, that year when we had 5 co-champions, that's where the phrase "meacish" was coined.
Yeah, I figured that's where it came from.
Yeah, that was a wild time. I mean, I know we were sitting there thinking. I recall sitting there thinking like, there's no way that all this is going to happen, and then Tariq Cohen fumbles in the end zone in North Carolina Central, and you go from A&T, who looked like the best team in the MEAC that year, to again the 5 teams claiming the championship, and ultimately Morgan State going. So it just shows you HBCU football. Sometimes the parity can exist. I mean, I know we talked a lot this year about how it's being Benedict and everybody else in the SIAC. At one point, it looked like it might be Virginia State and everybody else in the CIAA, but clearly the parity that it goes on at HBCUs can make for it can be a little bit torturing, but it can also make for some exciting football.
And there are those for people watching, obviously the preseason rankings, Benedict and Albany State were 1-2, and I'll admit I was one of those people when I saw this, I thought voters were being lazy. I'm like, oh, come on, new coach. I mean, really? I mean, I love Quinn Gray, but the new coach, you don't really know what you got. You're just inherently going to make them number 2, huh? And Tuskegee, who went to the championship last year, you make them number 3. Fort Valley had a strong team last year. You're going to make them 4. Savannah State, second-year coach. I just thought it was lazy. But what do you know? Albany State.
1 through 4, they were pretty much right.
Yeah, 1 through 4 comes through, especially 1 and 2, which all that mattered this year. So obviously for those who've been in a tunnel, maybe you don't know. Again, Benedict ended up beating Allen 37-9. That was one of the earlier games to start the day. Then you had the Fountain City Classic. Albany State defeating Fort Valley State 13-7, which I was surprised. I mean, look, again, I'm not going to say we wrote off Albany State, but we gave them that 1% chance after the Edward Waters loss.
Albany State was left for dead 3 weeks ago.
They were after Edward Waters' loss, and just watching how they lost that game. I was there for that. I thought they were done. I'm thinking everybody else has a shot, but I kind of kept telling myself, if anybody could, sort of throw some juice in the punch, it was Albany State. And sure enough, that's what happens. They knock out Miles's quarterback, get a big time win. Then they turn around and beat Fort Valley State with great defense after being down 7-0. And then of course, Miles. I mean, look, talk about a big turnaround. The young man who came in replacement of the quarterback who got knocked out, he turns around and has a good game. Tell you what a week of practice and preparation can do for you. He has a good game and takes out Tuskegee 35-10. Miles does, thus opening the door for Albany State, who there's a great video from Coach Gray of his guys finding out that Miles is up 35-10 with about 5 minutes to go, and they're like, yo, wait a minute, we're going to the ship. It's a crazy day the way it all broke out, man. So classic stuff there over in the SIAC. Any thoughts you want to add there, Drew, on the scenarios on how that all went down in those 3 games?
No, like I said, it's just interesting. There were a lot of people who wanted to see a new matchup because the Benedict had beaten Miles, although that was a competitive game, and a lot of people wanted to see that game again. Fort Valley didn't show a whole lot. Kelvin Durham was injured in that game, tried to play through it, but Benedict beat him like they stole something. But all these different scenarios, no one. And Steve, maybe you can help me out if y'all talked about that over there at HBCU Game Day. No one threw out Benedict Albany State as a possible game that they wanted to see, but it's a game that we are going to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. Like you said, I mean, a couple weeks ago they looked dead in the water. It's just it's amazing how that just shows you college football. You're really not dead until it's no chance. I know, you hold out that hope. Even when it doesn't look good, you hold out that hope, and you hope, somewhere, somehow, team can figure it out, and if the ball can just bounce your way. And look, from personal experience, I've seen it bounce the other way repeatedly in the last couple of years. So if I'm an Albany State fan, I'm super happy. Obviously, they're a program with a proud history. A lot of these new programs are upstart programs. You would say like an Allen or some of these other programs who don't have the winning background they do. They look to be ahead of them, and they just kept fighting under first-year head coach. And like I said, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be interesting to see when the awards are handed out this week, who gets what, because obviously Coach Berry and doing what he's doing back-to-back undefeated seasons, that's going to be and that's hard to do anywhere. So shout out to him for doing that. But then you also got Coach Keaton over there at Allen, who had a 7-3 season. You got Coach Gray, who's a rookie head coach and got his team in the championship game. It's just I think it's just an exciting time. Again, we've seen Fort Valley. I saw them against Benedict a couple weeks ago, and at one point in the year, it looked like they might be a formidable foe for them. Like you said, Kelvin Durham getting hurt, and then last week when they slipped up and VUL pushed them a little bit. And then you see this week. So it's, college football is the crazy thing about it. And at the D2 level, you get 10 weeks. There's no bye week. I'm understanding that maybe there will be one soon. If this week 0 thing goes according to request. Well, there are some non-HBCU conferences that have a bye week. But for this CIAA and SIAC, it's a 10-week grind. It's a 10-week thing, and then whoever's left standing at the end, they can know that they're been extremely battle tested, except for maybe Fayetteville State in the CIAA South for the last couple years until this year. So,
yeah.
Hey, Steve, before we switch over to the CIAA, who's your coach of the year? You just mentioned some good coaches. You mentioned what Coach Keith did over there at Allen. You've got Coach Shea over there at Miles. You've got Toriano Morgan, what he did down there at Edward Waters. That's just 3 good candidates off the top of my head. You got Quinn Gray, who probably, he of the teams, he probably, in theory, had the team that was best set up to succeed, but those weren't his players, and a lot of players left to go with Gabe over to Charleston Southern. So, who's your coach of the year if you had a vote?
It's hard to not give it to Chennis Berry again because of what he has done, those back-to-back winning, perfect seasons. That's hard to do, even with the pieces that they did lose. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a sucker for a great story, but I will go with Coach Keaton over at Allen. Again, to know that program, 5 years, 5-6 years ago didn't exist. They get into the SIC. They don't have their own practice field. They're having to bust it over and go practice over at University of South Carolina. And now they do have a practice field. I understand it's only like half of a field. Again, and I put this out last week. You look at Clark Atlanta, and you look at Morehouse with their great brand names and their great location, and they have not figured this football thing out in recent history. And Allen has come in with the right head coach, the right administration, and no facilities, and look where they are right there in contention. So I think it's got to be in the state of South Carolina, though, and I will go with Coach Keaton. That would kind of be mine.
Yeah, it'd be that's a tough one. For me, I'd probably go Keaton as well, because I think when you look at those preseason rankings, they were I think what I have here they were 11th. I mean, preseason 11th, and so
below Clark Atlanta.
But yes, below Clark Atlanta, below Central State. I mean, below Lane. So that just tells you the perception and the reality. And I guess I don't know. I was just looking at the official standings here. They finished 5-3, but still, going into the last week of the season, they were one of the 6 teams that had a shot of getting to the championship game. So definitely worthy of Coach of the Year considerations. And they finished 6-3 or 7-3, 6-3 overall. Very successful season for them.
Just for the record, Sam Shade is my choice. 1 win last year, took the job late. Program was decimated. Coach Ruffin took everything with him down to Tuskegee, and 1 year later, he's in contention for the SIAC title. That's what we get my vote.
I'd respect that. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the votes come out. I think they probably do voting from the coach, the ADs and coaches. I don't know if they allow media at the SIC or not.
There's coaches and SIDs probably.
No, coaches.
Okay. Coaches and SIC, so that'd be interesting. All right, moving over to the CIAA. We get the matchup that I was hoping we'd get last year. I was really rooting. I was probably in that bag of people who was really rooting for that Virginia Union Fayetteville State. And then Union kind of stumbled on their way, and then Fayetteville State ended up winning. Fayetteville State did what they do, which is they win the South. Again, winning. I think they won last night.
Yeah, that hurts to hear. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was trying to get in and out of it quickly. I was trying to figure out how to say it without bringing it up. I was just going to say, I'm not going to say who they beat, but let's just say for the 6th consecutive week, Fayetteville State beat their opponent by 7 points or less. Amazing what that team just continues to do. I won't mention who they played. That's not the point. But anyway, the game that was the matchup was right there at Hovey Field. 15,000 people, which, hey, look, that's an amazing. I think back to the last time these two played at Hovey was the bucket water. What do we call that, Drew? The
water bucket.
Was it
the water bucket game?
I think it was the failed water bucket game in overtime. That was a head scratcher. But anyway, this time Union wins 30-20. They actually win the North. What's your thoughts on this game? A game that defensively Virginia Union did what they had to do, but Virginia State made a ton of mistakes and had a ton of mistakes in that game. But I guess hey, defense wins out, and sometimes you got to capitalize on the other team's mistakes or be the team that makes the fewest mistakes in order to be able to win a ball game.
Yeah, I was actually at this game. I made the decision to go 95 north instead of 95 south and missed that mess down in Cumberland County. I went up to Richmond and I was in that number and it was great. Just a great crowd, a beautiful day over there in Virginia. The crowd was everywhere. You see that's the home side. The away side was just as packed, and they have it's almost like, and this is no this, but it's almost like a high school stadium in the fact that there's a big fence. There's a fence around the field, and the entire fence was lined up with people, who were there to cheer on their teams. Virginia Union is right there in Richmond, and Virginia State, obviously a state school. A lot of their alumni are there. So it was a great atmosphere for East Coast HBCU basketball, HBCU football. The game was the game. Both teams actually were shocking because they really used, Virginia State's been a passing team primarily. They've been passing a lot more, but Virginia Union is a ground and pound, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That field at Hovey Stadium has been there since 1906. And I feel like they've been using the same playbook since 1906 sometimes when you talk about how much they like to run the ball. But, it's been successful and it worked for them. But passing was really the difference. Virginia Union, they didn't do a lot of it, but they just were able to do it very effectively. I think their quarterback was 8 for 14. Before those were touchdowns. And 2 of them were interceptions. So, it was a very solid performance for Virginia Union. If you're Virginia State, there was a point in the season where you looked unstoppable. It looked like the CIAA was yours. Coach Frazier and his guys do a great job there, and they look dominant. But people will point to that Elizabeth City game where nobody saw that loss coming. But if you look back, previous to that, they after they just had that thrashing of Bowie State, where they were yelling at our cameras about don't schedule them for homecoming. That's kind of where their season climaxed, because after that they had their homecoming. It was in the rain. They took on Bluefield State. They got the win, but it wasn't as impressive as you would like. Then they go and lose to Elizabeth City. The kicking game hurt them there, as it was definitely detrimental on Saturday. I talk about the people that. So Saturday, their first kick. So Virginia Union goes down and scores on the first drive on the pass play. Virginia State drives down the field, gets into the red zone, can't score. They go kick a field goal. It may have been a 17, 18-yard field goal. And what they ended up doing was I just was standing right there, and it literally hit the goalpost, bounces on the ground, and I could just see the refs shaking their head like no. And then that was pretty much the story of the day. Virginia Union got up early on them. Virginia State just had kicking woes all game. Even on the extra points, there was an extra point that would have tied the game at 14. They ended up having that blocked, and it was returned for a 2-point. So that's a 3-point swing there. Then later in the second half, the same thing happened. Fortunately for Virginia Union, for Virginia State, Virginia Union was called for illegal substitution. Their motto was play 4-11, but they were trying to play 4-12, and that didn't work. But anyway, and then in the fourth quarter, there were twice they were in trying to drive to cut in the lead. Again, they were down 30-20 at this point, and 2 field goals they just missed. So the kicking game betrayed them at the worst time, and they'll finish the regular season 8-2 and hope that maybe they're the team that the CIAA decides to send to the bowl game. But if not, a disappointing end to a really good season for Virginia State. Virginia Union, really interested to see what they do. They, last year Fayetteville State was a Cinderella story in the CIAA. They went 4 years in a row, couldn't win it. 5th time was the charm. So now they're the defending champions, but they have to take on a Virginia Union team that's ready for blood. They missed out on a chance to beat them at home in a game, horrible storm here on the East Coast. And because it was a television game, they still had to play it, and they got one of those trademark Fayetteville State ugly, low-scoring, last-minute wins. So it's going to be really interesting to see how things play out when we get to Salem in a couple of days.
Yeah, Drew loves to say that game was played in a hurricane. There were probably a total of were you at that game?
I was not, but you know how it is here on the East Coast, man. Once a year, usually in that second to third, in that second to fourth game in September. You know, we usually get that storm. We usually get that cycle that comes here on the East Coast. So, you know, it was in effect that night for sure. And I think if they didn't have to play it on HBCU Go for TV, they probably would have played it another day, as Elizabeth City and Shaw did the next day, which is right down the road. So,
yeah. So I've got I guess now, how does the bowl thing, is that decided by the conference, or you know, and obviously you got Virginia State would be an option. Obviously, the loser of this game, assuming that really, Drew, what are the playoff scenarios, Drew? I know you follow this heavily, as we get into that. You know, who has that opportunity potentially, if you know, however this game would work out. And I guess my question overall, Steve, would be, you know, who would be, in your mind, an exciting matchup for that CIAA SIAC matchup?
Yeah, I have to think it's Virginia State. You know, we'll see though. See, I mean, again, Fayetteville State is the defending CIAA champion. I mean, who's to say who will win that game? But I think, you know, I think Fayetteville State. You know, they've been winning the CIAA South for the last 6 years. You know, they've been winning in the kiddie pool. Last year, they brought the championship back home to Fayetteville, so great for them. And then they went to the playoffs and laid an egg. So it'll be interesting to see, even if they win, are they the team that's going to get in? You know, again, there's no automatic bid, so we'll see. Virginia Union, you know, Saturday's win was huge for them because that was their biggest. I think that was their lone win against a team with a winning record because of the way things worked out. I think, yeah, because I'm sorry, no, they also did beat Bowie State, who finished 6-4. So those are their 2 wins versus Virginia State. You know, they had the FCS win, which looked good, but it didn't help them for D2. And then also, you know, the 2 losses that they had. So Virginia State's probably not going to be in. So I would say Virginia State, just to be safe. But, you know, I think either of the Virginia schools or Fayetteville State, I think all of them will be well represented as far as on the field. Now, the attendance and, you know, galvanizing a fan base to go in there, that's a whole different thing. But, you know, we'll see.
Steve, Edward wants to know if you are going to the First Take event on Tuesday at Winston-Salem State.
Oh, yes, I'll be there.
Yeah, you kind of knew that was going to happen, Edward. Come on now. And speaking of, well, no, let's not.
Go ahead.
Great. What I was guess I was gonna go with the job, instead of talking about the disappointment of Winston-Salem State or anything like that. I'm going to shift it and go to the season that Johnson C. Smith had.
That's not any better, but go ahead. On a personal level, but no, go ahead. No.
Well, I mean, look, there's a team that their best winning season in at least a decade.
Right.
And and probably people might think a year ahead of schedule at that. What's your take on, I know it's painful, but what's your take on the season Johnson C. Smith had and the postseason accolades? I mean, do you think there might be some postseason accolades for the Golden Bulls?
Pain is all I know at this point in regards to that situation. But anyway, as regards to Johnson C. Smith, no. So I do remember, Johnson C. Smith again. They played Livingstone yesterday in the commemorative classic, which commemorates the first HBCU football game in history. 1892 took place at Salisbury, North Carolina. So those two programs, both them and Livingstone, both have decided to be players in football. Johnson C. Smith, they brought home Maurice Flowers, who is a former Smith star. He's a Charlotte guy. And so, last year they didn't have the season that they wanted. I think their quarterback got hurt pretty early. So, it's definitely a situation where it's been a long time coming. We wrote a story earlier in the year and we talked about how, they've been an HBCU sleeping giant. They're a private school, great location. A lot going for it, but they just, football, consistent success in football has been evasive. And so for them, bringing Coach Flowers in was great, and that was a great start, but also having a commitment to football. We talk about a lot of our schools and are they committed to winning in football? And I saw them pick 6 in the CIAA. I was kind of like, Smith 6. They were ahead of a lot of teams they beat the last year, and usually in the HBCU ranks, you guys know that you're usually judged on what you did the previous year. But obviously, folks knew that they had some things coming. They had a full allotment of scholarships, which definitely helps. And so they've made that investment in their program, and they've seen it pay off this year. So 7-3 for under Coach Flowers, giving them a lot of energy. Again, they got a great location. There's a lot of great things going on at the university. They got a new president, so there's a lot of new energy there. And so, Johnson C. Smith is on the rise, and I think it's we laugh about the frustration about some of the my alma mater and a lot of others, being passed by. You got to look at these folks and say, hey, we've decided to invest in this because we think it's important, and we don't want to be a laughingstock anymore. So obviously what Coach Flowers is building up there is a big thing for them, and it's just raising the bar. And just like over in the SIAC, when you got a Tuskegee, you got a Morehouse, and a lot of these programs that have been there for a long time, and they're going to have to really figure out whether they're going to be able to invest to win, because these other programs are looking to do it. So you can't just figure out you're going to roll out anymore and beat these teams anymore. So kudos to Johnson Smith, everything they've got going on. I think Livingstone, they did some things as well this year too. So a CIAA South, I have been jokingly pushing for them to disband the CIAA South because of how bad it has been. But I think even St. Aug this year, was no pushover, even though they ended up winless. So, but we'll see going forward.
Do you have time to stick with us in our next segment with Dr. Parker? You do? Okay. Coming up in the next segment after the short break, we've got the head football coach of Virginia Union, Dr. Alvin Parker, coming on. So hang in there. We'll take a short 2-minute break, come back and talk with the head coach of the Virginia Union Panthers right after this. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and A.D here, joining us, good friend Steve Gaither of HBCUGameDay.com, and then it's the head ball coach of the Northern Division champions, Dr. Alvin Parker. Doc, how's it feel?
Trying to get my show right. Hold on, I'm trying to get my mic right.
Okay. We hear you. Are you hearing us?
We hear you.
We hear you.
Can you guys hear me? I can't hear you guys.
Okay, we can. We can hear you though.
Let me try one more thing.
All right. We can hear you. We can hear you. Can you hear us? Okay, so we're gonna give him a second to get his audio squared away here.
Hey, while we do that, got a question for Steve. Someone in our chat earlier asked about ticketing for the CIAA championship. Do you have any information on that?
Not sure. I mean, the conference usually, I think maybe if it's not anything out now, maybe Monday. But yeah, I would just check out the CIAA.com. I'm not exactly sure. I never buy tickets.
All right.
Wrong person. Right, it's the wrong person to ask about tickets there, Drew.
I got you. I know you know what a media credential link is though on the website though.
Yeah, I do.
Hold on, I thought we had Doc, and then all of a sudden it froze there for a second. So hold on, let's see. Okay,
there we
Doc,
go.
how you doing, Dr. Parker?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Glad to be here. How you guys doing?
Yes. Hey, we're doing well. We're doing well, Doc. How you doing? Congratulations, first off, on the big win, the Northern Division title, and you get a chance to go to the championship. Talk about that feeling of having that opportunity compared to the disappointment maybe of not getting that shot a year ago.
It feels good, to kind of get over the hump. I think we've been close, the last few years, but to finally get over the hump, it was like a monkey off your back. And, I was just happy for everybody involved. I think everybody that kind of stuck with me, believed in the vision that I had for the program and everything. I kind of saw us here. I thought we'd probably get here a little earlier, but, I'm glad we're here now.
Mm-hmm. That game last night, an epic crowd, 15,000. I have not had the fortune of getting to Hovey Field. It's on my bucket list of places to get to. But Steve was there, and just looking at the pictures online and the video, talk a little bit about that crowd. And I mean, I've imagined there's a great crowd for that series, but this one seemed a little extra crunk. Seemed like extra packed.
It's always a great crowd for this game. It's just never been like that, and I think they said 15,000 because they got tired of counting. I think a little bit more. Kind of got it. It holds about 12 ish. Somewhere around there. So, but the gates, I mean, everything was just so.
There was three around that fence, so I can believe it.
At least, yeah. So, it was full house. So I was kind of glad to get a chance to do it at home in front of all fans and in front of all our alumni. I seen guys that I played with 20 years ago that I hadn't seen since then. Everybody came back. It was just that type of feeling. So I was happy to get it for all of them.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Drew.
All right, Dr. Parker. First of all, thanks for joining us here today. Normally I try to catch your press conference on Tuesday, but this is a little bonus for me right now. But you're playing at Fayetteville State this week in the CIAA championship game. What type of advantage / disadvantage is it that you have seen your opponent already this season, albeit under severely adverse conditions in what I have dubbed the hurricane game? But just talk about the advantages and disadvantages of having seen your opponent for this big game that you have coming up.
I think playing against Coach Hayes is kind of, we line it down and we kind of play no matter what it is, so to speak. We've been doing this thing since we both been assistants. He was an assistant at Winston back in the day, and I was assistant at Elizabeth City back in the day when we had those epic championship battles, and it was just always the same, you know. So we'd have been up against each other enough times to kind of, you know, he has a good feeling for me. I'm sure I have a good feeling for him, and you know, it's just one of those things. So I don't know how much that first game is going to help, you know, either one of us probably, because I could barely see across the field to him, you know, how hard that rain and stuff was down, you know. So I don't know how much it's going to help either one of us, but anytime we get a chance to compete, it's always a great game. You know, I think those guys do a great job down there, and you know, I guess most would say they have a dynasty on that southern side of things.
All right, Coach. Looking at the game from yesterday, it was kind of a oddity, and I'll say this: your team is known for ground and pound, 3 yards in the cloud of dust, rushing the ball.
4
But you
yards.
pass the ball. 4 yards. My bad. Yeah, because you want to make sure you get the first down on third down.
We got to get a first down.
Exactly. I got you. But you know, you guys are known for rushing the ball, and you pass the ball a lot more than one would have expected coming into that game. And let's flip the script. Virginia State, a team that's known for throwing the ball over the yard a little bit, rushed the ball a lot more than you would have expected coming into that game. Just kind of talk about that. Was that something, at least from your point of view, that you planned on doing going into the game, or was that just kind of an in-game adjustment? Hey, this is working. We're gonna stick with it.
It's tough to say, you know, because I think our defense still held those guys under 100 yards rushing, and I think, you know, we still had, you know, upwards of 150 some yards rushing. So we still did what we normally do. I think people, you know, probably looked and seen we had 4 touchdown passes, you know, so that's something that's pretty different, you know, in kind of what we're doing. But I think, and I if I was in front of my computer, I'll look it up. But I think, you know, we're somewhere in the tops in the conference in touchdown passes. So we throw it when we want to. You know, I think we're maybe second. You know, so in terms of touchdown passes, so you know, we throw it when we want to, and we run it when we want to. I think that's the luxury of kind of what we do. You know, just being able to do what we want to do. You know, so you know, Virginia State has a pretty good offense. So when they came here yesterday, they did a lot of good things. I think they got a lot of dynamic players on both sides of the ball, but they did a lot of special things on offense, and they moved the ball on us. So, you know, hats off to those guys. But, you know, I think we did enough to make sure we come out with the win. Our defense held them when they got down there close. Our special teams did some great things in terms of putting pressure on their field goal kicker and getting some points off of that. You know, so it was kind of a complete effort yesterday.
All right, we'll turn it over to the CIAA expert here.
I don't know if I'm an expert, but you know, hey, I'm in the area. Yeah, Coach, Dr. Parker, you know, I had a chance to have you on our show last week, so I appreciate you for coming on there. And didn't get a chance to really speak with you personally, but obviously I was there watching you guys and have seen what you guys have done as a program. But talk to me as you're going. You know, you've been here before as a coach. You know, at Virginia Union and then also at Elizabeth City State. But your players have never been to the championship game. They're facing the Fayetteville State program that knows the road to Salem very well, tortured in a lot of times, but they were able to come through last year, and they've just found ways to win all year. You know, from everything I can tell, you guys are a focused unit and a focused bunch, but how will you use your championship experience to try to get these guys, you know, to understand that, you know, it's up a notch. It's going to be a little bit different. I mean, the game is still the same. You know, the hash marks are the same, but it's a championship level. It's a championship game, like on the line.
When we were there this summer, I teased Coach Hayes. I say they might as well name this thing the Fayetteville Invitational. You know, because you guys are in it every year. You know, so them guys definitely. So all the questions that I've been asking, trying to figure out how this thing worked this week and what we're gonna do on this day, what we're gonna do. They're used to it. Pretty much almost everybody on their roster is used to it, probably except for their freshmen. So they know how this week go. You know, last year this time I told the guys we practiced a couple days. We waited till the selection show. You know, because we weren't playing in the game. You know, so. They have everything. They know how this whole week goes. You know, they know what to expect when they get up there. Our kids are gonna be kind of looking around, seeing mountains and paying attention to the cold air and things like that we haven't seen. You know, so I got to make sure that doesn't happen. That we just don't get up there and get starstruck or kind of act like we haven't been there before. I think we played this weekend. Was a championship environment to me. So I think we can play in this type of environment that we played in this past week, and we'll be able to overcome anything in terms of environment or being up for it when we get to Salem.
Yeah, definitely a championship environment. Like I said, it was just great. I know, being able to, being from, the Carolina, North Carolina and the Virginia area and the East Coast, a lot of people don't understand the football culture that's there. But to have a game this late in the season, I think everything's kind of aligned perfectly for you guys, especially even the weather, because sometimes it can be a little bit cold. But I actually had to drop my sweatshirt in the first quarter because it was a little warm out there. So, just kudos to you guys and everything you guys have done, and I look forward to seeing what you guys are going to do in Salem.
I appreciate it, man.
Hey, Dr. Parker, I'm curious about your team overall this season, and juxtapose it to last year. Last year, your team, or that, everyone's a different year. So let's just say the 2022 season was one of those years where you guys were a juggernaut. I mean, you have those great road wins. You're number one in a lot of people's polls. You stumbled, but you got to the playoffs. This year you come into it, and it almost the other school, the school up the road from Virginia, got all the attention this year. And you're I don't want to say you guys weren't thought of or talked about, but they got the majority of the attention. Now your team is the team that's sitting there with a chance to go to the title. You got the attention back. How has the journey been for a lot of the returners and for this team? Juxtapose it to last year and everything that you went through.
I think last year those guys bought in a great amount. We just we got to the end and had a few depth issues that we need to make sure we correct in the offseason. I think we corrected those. So the coaches did a great job of just kind of going out there and making sure they recruited. And the guys that we have here, just got better from being in the program. So I think a big, testament to the season was when Jada went down, and we still had guys that can come in and play. And everybody got a chance to see that. That just proved the depth that we had. So I was happy to see that, not in terms of, like I said, him getting hurt or anything, but just in terms of showing everybody that we had the depth, that we corrected those things that kind of faltered us a little bit, later in the season in 2022. And I think these guys had a mentality of finishing, and I think, we look back at the numbers and we kind of gauge it, a little bit, like we did. This year we averaging right there near 40 points a game. We're giving right there, giving up about 10. So you're still talking about maybe a 30-point differential. And I think it was close to the same last year. I think we averaged maybe about 44, 45 points last year, and we were giving up about 15. So the terms and difference, what we've been doing is about the same. The numbers just look a little different in how we're doing it, but it's about the same in terms of that. A lot of the categories we led the nation in last year in terms of like in special teams and things like that, we're still leading in those. We did get better in some other ones, our net punting and things like that got better from a year last year. So all the things that we felt like, we're making that playoff run and being able to get to see playoff level type of teams. And that's who you had to scout, and that's who you had to break down. That's how you knew how you had to build your team. So we kind of looked at it from that aspect and said, you know what, we got to build this thing like this. And by no means are we one of the programs that have 36 full scholarships. I don't want anybody to get that fool. We just work hard. We make it happen. We're nowhere near that. And we still consider ourselves a national level program, a top 25 program, a program that is just going to come and work and do what we have to do. And all our kids buy in. I got coaches that's still in the office with me right now. We're working to make sure we get this. And that don't take scholarships to do that. You got to just line down to be ready to go.
Well said. Okay. Drew, got any last final questions you want to get in with Coach Parker?
Yeah. My last question before I pass it off to Steve. And Coach, I know you're gonna give me Coach speak on this, but you got to give me some type of nugget on this one, man. Virginia Union defeats Fayetteville State on Saturday. If
we defeat Fayetteville on Saturday, if the small things in the championship game when two good teams are playing, a lot of the small factors come in. The things you're going to see like penalties, turnovers, field position, big plays, those type of things. I think if we can win all of those categories, we'll have a heck of a chance of winning. But those guys have found ways to win. Like I said, they've been here before. I'm pretty sure we probably come in the game as an underdog. I don't, just because those guys have been here before. But I think if our guys do what we're supposed to do and line up and play the type of ball that we've been playing all season, I like our chances.
Go ahead, Steve. You on mute. Steve, you on mute.
Yeah, so this is as you talked about, we talked about this before, this is your alma mater, a place that means a lot to you. Just talk about obviously you got the task at hand, but just you talk about the level of commitment that your AD, the legendary Joe Taylor has given to you guys, and how much that helps you guys, and how you're able to build your program where you necessarily don't have unlimited scholarships and things like that, but how you're able to get talent and get guys that seem to fit what you're able to do now. Now that you're in what is this year 5 for you 6?
Year 6, not counting COVID, 5 seasons.
Right.
6 year here. I got here in 2018. So I mean, it's just a level of commitment, from the university, and it don't necessarily come in the form of dollars or anything like that all the time. It comes in just the form of showing us that we're important, that we matter, in terms of that. Anytime you can get upwards of 16,000 people to come out to a football game, that shows a whole lot. That shows how everybody's backing you, you got a chance to go to the championship and things like that. We've been close, like I said, since I've been here. We've been close. And it's because, like I said, guys are recruiting, and we're not selling anything around here. I think we, of course, I'm going to sell it good because I bought it. I came here, but in terms of that, at the end of the day, we just sell ourselves, because, the kids got to feel comfortable with playing for us and kind of going out there laying it on the line, and I think we got a good group that, is truly, brought into, what I want, and those guys don't have a problem with doing it. I love them guys. Them guys love me. They love the rest of these coaches. And, all that put together kind of results in what's going to happen on Saturday.
Coach, I want to give you the last word. Anything that you would like to promote, let people know about, how they can support your program, any shout outs to Panther Nation. I want to give you the last word right now.
Oh, man, look, you can always find a donate button somewhere on our website, So if you go to that, you'll find that. But, my last word is just simple, man. Like what I've been saying all season from day one, just I think it's on that side, play for 11.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, hey, we look forward to a great game. It's the game of the century, game of the year, game that I've been like. I wanted this game last year. I was disappointed you had to play it in a hurricane earlier. So I'm gonna have my popcorn ready, Coach. I'm gonna be right in front of the TV, ready for this one. Good luck to you. Safe travels. Have a great week of practice and preparation, and hopefully we get a chance to talk to you again as you guys are preparing for regional play after you celebrate a title.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me.
All right. Take care, Coach.
Appreciate you, Dr. Parker.
All right. Again, Dr. Alvin Parker, head coach, Virginia Union University. Salem, Virginia is, a lot of chatter, guys. A lot of guys in the chat room asking those who aren't familiar. Steve, before we let you go, give people a little who aren't familiar with the relationship of Salem, Virginia. Why Salem, Virginia? And the significance of Salem, Virginia for the CIAA, just for people who aren't familiar in the chat room, because I'm seeing a lot of conversation asking about it.
Yeah, well, the CIAA championship game, has been in Salem since 2016. Prior to that, it alternated between neutral site. It previously had been in Durham. And then, there was they tried to move it on to campus for a year, and Unfortunately, there was an altercation that prevented that game from happening. So they moved it back to a neutral site game. And so there was an issue back in 2016 in the state of North Carolina, that social issue that ended up getting a lot of things moved out of the state of North Carolina, and the CIAA championship game was one of those. And so there's a relationship with Salem, Virginia, which is basically Roanoke, if you've ever heard of Roanoke, Virginia. So it's at the southern middle of Virginia, right outside the Blue Ridge Mountains. A beautiful place. And so there's a relationship that the CIAA has had with the city. And they've been there since 2016. I have to, go back and do my research and see how much longer the deal is. A lot of people would love for them to move it to another place, whether that be, to Durham, where it was, which is kind of, right in the middle of CIAA, in the heart of CIAA country. Some people would like it to maybe move to Charlotte, or some people would like it to maybe move to maybe a Richmond for the northern schools. But in any event, that's where CIAA has held its championship game since 2016. And so it's a beautiful place to catch a game. It's a cold place to catch a game. Especially I think the first couple years. The first year they had it, the second year they had it, I think we played at night, and that was a frigid place. I always feel like I have to bundle up when I go there, but it's a great place for football. There's nice scenic mountains in the background, and it's been hosted some fun games. So I'm hoping that Virginia Union and Fayetteville State can really make it worth my while for tracking up the mountain. So I'm looking forward to it.
And I've heard that the city does a good job of taking care of the CIAA.
Oh yeah, they have
important.
Yeah, they also they usually do the volleyball championships. So they usually do the volleyball championships. So Salem Stadium is where the football game takes place, but the volleyball championships, there's a facility that is literally in the same parking lot. So you can leave from the CIAA football championship and go see the volleyball championships. And so usually I'll dip in there and just kind of see what's going on. And yeah, I think one of the city leaders is a Virginia Union alumnus, I believe. So there's that connection there, and the CIAA, they will come in, prior to game day, and they will have clinics for the players and coaches. Or they'll have clinics for the kids, whether it's players and coaches or what have you. So it's a great relationship they've had. A lot of people, again, are kind of maybe ready to go to a different place in different direction. But, when you have that type of buy-in, when you're an organization, unless somebody's willing to throw you a lot of money and give you a lot of perks, it's kind of hard to leave a situation like that. So.
Yes, indeed. Don't be too quick to leave a good situation.
Yeah.
And by the way,
can't break up
weather forecast. Yeah, weather forecast for Saturday in Salem. The high is expected to be 60 degrees, low 35. Winds out of the northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour.
That wind is what it gets you, man. It was what year was it? It was maybe 2018. One of those years, Amir Hall was passing for like 4,000 yards, and they ran the ball, something serious, because that wind was crazy. So, yeah, that 60 degrees, it sounds nice, but that'll be probably right when I roll into town at 11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock before the game, and then the temperature will definitely drop once that shade from the mountain comes over. So, but it's a fun championship game. I enjoy it. I've been to, I think, everyone in Salem, so I'm looking forward to whatever happens this year.
All right. Stephen, let the people know, what do you have upcoming this week? It's always busy for you. We appreciate and enjoy all the content that you and everybody over at HBCU Game Day puts together. So what are you working on? What do you got coming up?
Well, hey, I'm from North Carolina. I'm a North Carolina guy. It's, football is cool, but we're basketball state.
Basketball season, yes,
college basketball is right around the corner. Our D1 schools are starting this week, so we'll be doing some coverage of that. D2s will start later this week. They'll start playing some round robin tournaments, so it'll be a little bit of everybody.
Friday, I believe.
Yeah. So really excited. Really excited to get into basketball season while we still got a lot of football left to be played. obviously at the MEAC and SWAC, and then in the postseason, the CIAA and SIAC. So this is actually my favorite time of the year, and it's not just because my birthday was the other day. I just love this time of the year when basketball and football get a chance to intersect, and we don't have to deal with that baseball thing anymore. So it's good. So we'll have a lot of content, basketball and football, and just try to touch it all. So appreciate everybody for tuning in and making sure they download our app, the HBCU Game Day app. It is on Google Play and Apple Store. If you download it, you can get all of our posts straight to you. And we appreciate all you guys.
Appreciate you,
and Steve, by the way, there's a bunch of people out here in HBCU land who are getting very familiar with their men's and women's basketball coach because football season does not mean anything anymore. Just want to throw that out there.
Yes, indeed. Yes, they are. It's time to start focusing on your men and women's basketball coaches.
And I'm one of them, Steve, and so you know the feeling.
We're a basketball and cheerleading school at Winston-Salem State.
I love it. See how quickly they get rid of football. It's like we moved on the basketball.
and they got the #1 band in the band of the year polls as of right now.
Yeah, and first take will be there. So it's an exciting time. I giving the football team a hard time. They deserve it, but always a pleasure to go. I was able to speak to some students last week at my alma mater. So I love WSSU. It's nothing they can do about it. Somebody told me they didn't want me to. After some comments I made after yesterday, they told me to go cover the MEAC and SWAC. But
oh wow. That's how you touched the nerve.
I was born to do that.
The truth shall set you free.
I was born to do that. At this point, I just have to accept it and roll with it. So,
hey, look, these
prophet is not welcome at home.
Exactly. You won't be in the valley for long, Steve. There's always ebbs and flows. You won't be in the valley for long, and you'll learn to appreciate the rise back to the top. So. All right, man. Hey, thanks for all your time tonight. Appreciate you.
Thanks
you
for
everything you guys do. All right. Have a good night now. Take care.
All right.
All right. Steven Gaither, ladies and gentlemen, HBCUGameDay.com. Let's take a break. Come back. Let's talk to our coach, Coach Farasi Norman. Kind of find out he had a he had a good pair of eyes on Allen and Benedict, and we'll talk to him about Benedict and what kind of team can they be in the Division II playoffs? Might be one of my first questions to Coach. He's coming up in just a moment. And then coming up in the bonus hour, we've got Charles Edmond. Do we have top 5 rankings as well, Drew?
Yes, we do.
All right, so we gotta squeeze that in here coming up shortly. So let's take a pause for the cause and come right back. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit.
Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio.
That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results.
Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds.
You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and Instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Bryan, A.D, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and AD here. And, you know, sometimes I have coach, sometimes we don't. We got to get that figured out. Yeah. All right, let me just quickly kind of see what's happening here, you guys in the chat room. And the whole thing with the first take coming to Winston-Salem, that's happening on Tuesday. I think I've seen a couple people you say. All right, let's see if we got Coach. Coach, you in there?
What's up, fellas? Can you hear me?
We got you loud and clear,
Yes,
Coach.
sir.
How you doing?
Hey, what's happening? What's happening, man? It's that day again. Sunday comes around once a week. Gotta love it. AD, what's happening, brother?
What's going on, my brother? What's going on out there, man? You getting excited yet?
Oh, I've been excited for a long time. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You know, I've just been excited for a long time. So as the season winds down, I get a little more excited just to see what's going to happen for me. But, you know, I still love Sundays hanging out with you two and just talking football.
Let's talk about this time of year, Coach. This is that moment when, we jokingly, we talked about it's a lot of for fans. Some of them are getting to know their basketball coaches because their teams are out of it. There's a lot of self-evaluation. What is this time of year like for coaches? You know, even if you've had a good season, only one or two teams get an opportunity to sort of play in a championship game or maybe even a playoffs. But for other teams, you know, you might finish with 7 wins or 8 wins, but you're missing out. For other teams, you finish below 500. And so what's this type of year like for coaches?
You put your recruiting board together. You know, you make sure you shake hands with your coaches. You tell your players, hey, we had a good year. Let's build off this. The next holiday coming up is Thanksgiving. So you make sure you tell everybody travel safe. You and your coaches, you guys meet every day for hours, putting running backs, receivers, DBs. I myself, I always make sure we got the trenches taken care of. So we make sure we take care of the O-line, D-line, things of that sort like that. Then, you know, you move on to Christmas break. You enjoy your families and your presents and your gifts and all that. Then you come back and you got your early morning workouts. Rewind. You got your first day back on campus, which is in January, and you welcome the new players in, whether they're coming from a junior college or a college prep or they're a transfer or anything like that. And you welcome everybody back. You make sure everybody knows each other. And you just lay out, hey, this is what we're doing for spring. You know, this is how we ended. We ended with an 8-3 or we're 7-2 or we missed the playoffs by 1 game. So we got to work hard this offseason, this summer, to make sure we eclipse that 1 game because this time next year we want to be hosting the trophies. Everybody with me? Everybody says, yes, sir. And if you're not with me, go ahead and exit the stage left because this is going to be hard work. We're about to work, fellas, because, you know, we missed it by 1 game. Think about that. So you just get quiet for 1 game or maybe 2. But either way you want it, we were right there. So me and the coaches are working overtime to make sure we find that 1 player that can help us or 2 players that can help us. Not saying he's not in the room. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying he's here. We're going to bring some in here. We're going to mix it together. Come August, we're getting ready to let everybody know who we are. We're going to go from 3 or 4 to number 1. Everybody with me? Yes, sir. And that's how you take care of that.
When do coaches, and this thought came to me as you were talking about that pattern and that schedule, but for coaches, if you're the head coach, when are you starting the evaluation process of coaches you want to keep, coaches that, you know, you're hoping to retain, even assistant coaches may be thinking about moving on. And you got to have that stability because you talked about going into recruiting. You got to know who's going out and doing the recruiting. How do you deal with that? How do you handle all of that? What's that schedule look like?
Every Sunday when you're at your coaches meeting, you stand up and you look at everybody and you ask everybody how they're feeling. Is everybody comfortable? because I expect everybody to be here because we're going to do great things. If you're not going to be here, no hard feelings, no harm, no foul. I'm not going to see you in the grocery store and start punching on you. I just want to know where I stand so I can go get a new coat. And so usually at the beginning of the season, everybody says, I'm with you, coach. But as time goes on, of course, coordinators want to move up to be head coaches. Position coaches want to move up to be head coaches. The coordinators. And you let everybody know, fellas, I just need to know where I'm at because I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. I got a locker room full of players, and once again, I plan to win a championship. I want you guys to be with me. But if you want to move forward, I'll do everything I can to help you. But you got to let me know where you're at because don't leave me with my pants down at the last minute saying, oh, coach, I'm gone. And I'm like, I got to go recruit some players and find a coach. That's not fair to me. Because don't forget, wherever you go, someone's going to call me, and I'm going to let them know, coach, he didn't let me know he was leaving. I asked that man 100 times, are you leaving? And that makes you look bad because now your credibility is shot. So by the end of the season, this time of the year, mostly everybody's either they're in or they're out. And if they're out, you say, okay, hey, no problem, where you want to go, I'll help you. And then that gives you a chance to get on the phone. I need a coordinator, or you promote from within. You make your running back your coordinator, and you go bring another coach in to coach your running backs or however you want to do it. But you start from the beginning. You don't never wait to the end because, like I say, everybody wants to move up. Nobody just wants to coach running backs for 20 years. Nobody just wants to call the offensive defense for 20 years. Everybody wants to move up. So you give everybody that opportunity. And I usually start at the beginning of the season, every Sunday. Hey, Bryan A.D., how y'all feeling? You're my coordinator. How you feeling? We good? Yeah, we good. Week 3, how we feeling? We good. Coach, why you keep asking me that? Because, fellas, I want to make sure when we get to week 10, 12, you're still with me because we got a board of recruits we got to go get. And this time next year, we got to take some championship. But if you guys not going to be with me, let me know. I can recruit. I can promote from within or go find me someone who can equal your value. So just everyone's being fair to everyone. So that's how you handle that.
That's an honest.
Can I throw in?
That's an honest conversation. That's surprising. I'm kind of curious. I've never been in a work environment where that kind of honesty exists. Go ahead, Drew.
I'm going to ask a question on the same lines as Bryan had opened up the rabbit hole, and here we go down the rabbit hole again. We did this last week with the band of the year stuff. But Coach, what about your players? Is exit interviews, is end of the season evaluations. Obviously, with your seniors or those who've run out their eligibility, you want to try to make sure that they're taken care of, that they're still on their path to graduation, because ultimately they should be coming to school to get their degree. So you're going to take care of those. But for those underclassmen that are coming back, especially now in this new era with the portal, because somebody's in these kids' ear talking about, hey, you can go over here and play. You can go, if you're at the D2 level, hey, you can go over here and play at this FCS, at this FBS. Same thing if you're at the NAIA level, you can move up. And with the freedom that they have to make that one move, what is that evaluation process like with the kids? What kind of conversations are you having with your kids? Because you've got to do this 85 times or so, 80 some odd times, maybe 100 times, depending on how deep your roster is.
You know what, 80, good question, but I'm going to answer the same way I did Bryan's, because like you said, you got 85 to 100 kids, so you don't have time to sit down with each kid because you figure each interview is going to be 15 to 20 minutes, if not longer. That's a long process when you're going 3 or 4 kids a day, 5 days a week. You still got other things to take care of. You got to make sure you're recruiting, bringing in new kids. You got to find out which coach is leaving, which is staying. So I do a group interview, and it's always worked for me. I get everybody in the weight room. I get everybody in the gym, and I laugh and joke with everybody. I might talk about, what young lady's real good looking on campus and who had the hottest cheerleader, something like, loosen up the crowd a little bit. And I just say, fellas, I love everybody here. But if you're unhappy and you want to go somewhere else, I understand. Not everybody got the playing time they were looking for. And I don't guarantee playing time. Playing time comes 1, in the classroom. 2, making sure our eligibility is where it needs to be. 3, making sure we're healthy. So if you're the third string running back and someone's talking to you like, hey, if you come over here and you can be my starter, I'm not going to say that we're not going to lose 2 guys next year or this guy's not ineligible. I'm just going to say, if you're going to leave, be fair to Coach Norman because I've always been fair to you. That's all I'm going to ask you to do. Just be fair. You ain't got to come to my office. You can text me. If you're not man enough to look me in my face and say, Coach, I'm going to go ahead and transfer out to Langston because they need a running back, or Texas Southern, they need a quarterback. Just text me, say, hey, Coach, I appreciate your time, but I'm going to go and exit. And I'll respond to you real quickly. Hey, my friend, best luck to wherever you go. You ain't got time to be hateful or have no animosity, but that's how you hold that mean there because once again, you got a room full of kids. You try to impress as many as possible, but you're not going to win them all. You're going to lose some. You're going to lose some. The group that I never want to lose is my O lineman. So I usually say, hey, fellas, we're going out for steak and potatoes. You know, when we sitting there eating steak and potatoes, I'm like, hey, is everybody good? Let me know, because I love this group right here. You know, we're missing 3, we're losing 3, but we got you and you coming back, so that's playing time. I got you and you. You know, we rotate 10 guys in the trenches. How are you guys feeling? And they sitting there with a mouthful of, coach, I'm good, coach. I'm coming back, coach. You know, and you're like, hey, are you sure? Felt just be good with me. I'm good. Okay, so as long as I got that group, I'm fine. You know, I'm fine. Everything's sort of like that. So I do an open exit strategy with everybody, and it seems to be working. I mean, you know, you're going to lose some, and I tell my coaches, you're going to lose a kid that you really like, but you ain't got time to go hold his hand, because we're not babysitters, we're football coaches. If he feels he can go somewhere else, you say, hey, my friend, I wish you the best of luck, and we got to keep moving forward.
I appreciate the honesty in those comments, because like I said, again,
oh, there you are.
Where
everybody go?
I'm sorry, I switched the camera view. When you get into the real world, there are very few job places that are that honest, you know, because if I don't like where I'm at, I'm quietly building my resume. I'm putting my stuff on Indeed. I'm doing all these things outside of the job, maybe even at the job, depending upon how you feel about your job. I've been there at some places. Know people who have done that. But you know what I'm saying? You're building for your next thing while you're there, and you're always when they say, "Hey, how you doing?" "Hey, I'm great. I love my job." But really, you feel miserable where you're at, or you really want to get out. You can't wait to leave. And it just sounds like that football.
Is it 5 o'clock yet?
Yeah, it's not, yeah, exactly. It's like 4:59. You're sitting there like, okay, gotta go. But it sounds like that's the last place, the college environment, the locker room, the football team, for coaches and players, the last place that you really have that honest, you know, that honest conversation. At least in a good program, it sounds like that's the last place you have that honest conversation. And
the reason why you want to, not to cut you off, Brian, but the reason why you want to do it that way is because, like you said, there's some kids that are unhappy. There's some kids who got red shirted, gray shirted, who feel like they should be. Everyone feel like they should be starting. Let's go ahead and throw that out there now. You know, so you throw it out there several times throughout the year, fellas. How you feeling? How's everything going? Will I see you in the spring? Will I see you in the fall? You know, I usually tell you, if I got 20 red shirts, I look up at them. I say, hey, 3 years from now, am I going to see you in front of everybody? Yes, coach. I mean, and they're red shirt freshmen. 3 years from now, am I going to see you? You know, and so you throw it out there and you let them know. Anytime you want to leave, just let Coach Norman know, and there's no animosity. But if you sneak off on me, that's cowardly. So when Coach Filford calls me and says, "Hey, Coach, I just got this running back that's 5'8", 220 with 4.4 speed coming from you. Who are you talking about?" Farasi Norman. "Coach, man, ask that young man face to face several times. Are you coming back? You gonna play for me?" He said, "Yes, sir." So if he comes with you, Coach, I wish you the best of luck. But well, I mean, come on. I mean, he snuck up on me. So if he sneaks up on me, it's only a matter of time before he sneaks up on you. Yeah, and you know, it's a fraternity of coaches. No matter what color we are, we're still in the same fraternity. And we're like, "You're right, Coach." You know, and everything like that. That's why I try to get my players and my coaches start from the beginning. How are we feeling? How are we feeling? Because I've been in situations where I was uncomfortable. You know, everything sort of like that. I didn't like it there. I was upset. When to punch somebody in the face, can't do that. It's unprofessional. But then at the end of the season, you just go to them. They say, "Coach, can I talk to you for a minute?" And they look at you. You come in, you say, "Hey, you know, I appreciate this opportunity. I really do. But I think it's best for me, you, and the program if I just if I just go my own way." And they just look at you and they say, "Are you sure?" And you say, "I'm sure, Coach. Once again, I thank you, you know, and everything like that. I just want to look you in your face." And you shake hands and you're going out the door and you got a good rapport. So when you call that coach and say, "Hey, Coach Norman just applied to be my coordinator," you know, hey, good guy, left on good terms. I had no problem. I wanted him to come back, but he felt that, you know, he wanted to go elsewhere. You do it like that. But if you just sneak off on somebody as a coach, you know, you guys are my coordinators and you sneak off on me, and, you know, Tuskegee calls me saying, "Hey, I got these guys want to come over here. Coach, they snuck off on me in the middle of the night. We was out drinking the other night, having a great time. They said, Coach, can't wait to come back." And now they're over there trying to be on your door. So, you know, hey, I'm just saying, if you're going to take them. But if they snuck off on me in the middle of the night, what's they going to do to you? You're right, Coach. Boom. So you always want to just be upfront. And that's how you raise a young man from an 18 to 21-year-old. We tell the parents we're going to help your young man become a grown man. I'm the coach, not the dad or the mom. But that's part of it. As coming on, excuse my language, as becoming a man, it's adulthood. Adulthood is being honest. Look at somebody in the eye and say, "Hey, Coach, I don't think this is the right place for me, but I appreciate you giving me this opportunity. I'm gonna go elsewhere. Hey, I appreciate your honesty, young man. Wherever you go, Best of luck to you. Same thing with a coach. So, I mean, I've done it that way. Other people may do it differently. I mean, I know exit exams because, once again, like I say, you got 85 to 100 kids in your program, so you're doing 4 to 5 exit exams a day. That's a lot of time. That takes away from what's really important right now is recruiting, and everything sort of like that. So I just think it's best to hold the group meeting. You hold your coaches on one side, you hold your players to the other side. Now, the kids that are leaving, you want to make sure you stay on them. Hey, how far are we from graduation? Are we graduating in the spring, summer? Talk to me. Do I need to help you find a job? Are you going military? Do I need to get someone on the campus here? Let me know, because you've been good to me, so it's my turn to be good to you. I don't want to be driving down the street and you hanging in the hood with your pants below your butt with a rag on your head. I failed. So talk to Coach Norman, where we at? Oh, Coach, I want to go military, or, hey, come on, let's be, Coach, I want to go to the league. Well, buddy, I'll do everything I can to help you. I'll do everything I can to help you. I don't own a team. I'm not a GM, but I will make sure they know you want to play at their level and prepare you, or do everything I can to help you at that level. If not, let's make sure we graduate and get ready for the real world. Everything sort of like that. So as the head coach, you wear many hats. You try to take care of everybody. You're not going to make everybody happy. Do know that already. I mean, I've met many coaches who try to make people happy, and they're always sad. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? That's part of the nature, it's part of the business, brother, and everything like that. So that's how I do it. And hopefully there's a president AD out there paying attention, taking notes. That's how Farasi Norman does it. And it's been successful for me. You're not going to keep everybody. And sometimes it comes down to money. Some guys get wives and kids, or wives getting pregnant and everything like that. And you only pay so much, everything sort of like that. So, hey.
Let's get into a couple of these games here,
Coach. Oh,
talk to me.
Oh, go ahead, Drew. Where were you gonna go?
Oh, I was gonna say before we jump to the games, as I know we're running short on time, but Coach, you just said something that's really important, and I hope young people out there may pick this up off of this podcast. You've got many years coaching, and I don't think, and Bryan, you can attest to this also. I don't think these kids understand that whatever profession, whatever you need done, I guarantee you that I got somebody who can do it for you, because I've coached players who've turned into doctors, who've turned into lawyers, who are police officers, who are plumbers, who are whatever. I've probably got somebody who's done all this stuff in different cities, throughout the nation and everything, or because of the coaching tree that I've either been a part of or that I've created. That's something that's special about sports. You wind up coming across people who wind up doing so many different things, but because you can shoot a ball together or run a ball together or kick a ball or whatever it is, you come across those people and you make contacts in all different types of fields. Because I know I've got kids who play for me who pretty much gone into just about any profession that you can think of.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. No, I mean, it's like I said, that's part of that. That's part of that cycle. That thing about it as coaches. I mean, I still think back to Coach's story about meeting the young man who the young man that you met while you were out, Coach. And he remembered you. And so it's that honesty and those impressions that you make on young people that maybe they don't always appreciate it at the moment, but later on when they realize that life is like you told them it would be, and then they think back on, well, you know what? The one person who was always straight up with me was Coach Norman or Coach Drew or Coach Fulford. You know what I'm saying? And
I couldn't stand it when he gave me that extra gas, but now I understand why he made me do that extra gas.
I cussed him. Yeah, I cussed him under my breath like him.
I know, and I knew he was cussing me.
Oh yeah.
Say it loud enough where I can hear you.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. Coach Benedict College, right there. Second time that they have gone. I'll say this: the second time that they've gone unbeaten in the regular season. Although I preface that by saying the regular season is not quite over, because I think the championship game this upcoming Saturday counts. But still, 10-0, 2 consecutive years. You watch them defeat Allen 37-9. They learned a lesson last year in the Division II playoffs. As the 1 seed, as the team that got the bye, do you think this team is better prepared for the playoffs just because of that experience, or maybe they also can add into that they've got maybe one of the best coaches in Division II football, and maybe they just the experience of this year. What's your take on Benedict as they get ready for a championship game and the playoffs?
Let me say this. All year long, we've talked about that defense, that forefront. I know a couple weeks ago, I bragged on that D-line, okay? After what I saw yesterday when they played Allen, Coach Keen's doing a great job with his team. Let's throw that out there. But I was very impressed with their offense. That O-line blocked very well. That quarterback stood in the pocket and took care of his progressions. They ran the ball. They threw the ball more than they ran it, but they ran it very well. Special teams wise, they ran down there. They made tackles. I think this team is poised to make a deep run. I don't know how far they'll go, but from what they had last year, turning over to this year, back-to-back undefeated seasons, I got no doubt. I heard you guys earlier talking about Coach of the Year. I was saying Chennis Berry. You know, none against Coach Keaton and them other guys, but anytime you have back-to-back undefeated seasons, that kind of separates you from everybody else, you know, everything sort of like that. So Coach Berry would be my Coach of the Year. So you got the two. I don't know if he was Coach of the Year last year, was he, fellas? But you got the back-to-back Coach of the Year.
Yes.
You know, back-to-back Coach of the Year, back-to-back undefeated season. We have everything going in our momentum way. We're healthy. We're strong. We're hitting on all phases. We clearly got the best defense, which this time of year is what you need. You need a very good defense, and they got that. And offense is good enough to score 14, 17, 24 points, because we know defensively they're going to hold you less than 14. We know that. So everyone's doing their job. So once again, I see them making a deep run. I learned something yesterday. I was hearing the commentator, and he was talking about Coach Berry has these things called ABCDs. And he said it 4 or 5 times. I'm thinking, what is ABCDs? And so finally he said, ABs is what he wants his boys to make in the classroom. C stand for championships. D stand for degrees. Remember a couple weeks ago, I talked about lights coming on in your house. When you come in, light came on. I said, wow. So if I'm fortunate enough to get me a head coaching job, which I hope someone hires me soon, I'm going to go have that printed, ABC, and I'm going to put Chennis Berry so he get his credit, ABCDs, because I was amazed when I heard the ABCDs. A's and B's, what I want my boys to have. We want championships and degrees. I was like, wow. But anyway, answer your question, Brian. I think that right now Benedict is poised. Unless something just drastically happens, like everyone became ineligible or they all caught COVID or something, I don't see anyone standing in their way. Them boys are ready to play. They're a good team.
Back-to-back SIAC champions in their path. Albany State will give it their best effort, and that's an opportunity. It's a team that they haven't played, and it'll be a great challenge for Albany State. Drew, you got a question for Coach? Football game related?
No, because I see our next guest is here, Charles Edmond. I didn't know if we wanted to keep Coach on with Charles or we wanted to cut this and go to Charles.
However y'all want to do it, man. You know, I appreciate everything y'all do for me. So if y'all want to go to the next guy, we can.
Because I know you saw some SWAC games, Coach.
No, I saw Thursday's game with Mississippi Valley and Bethune. I saw the game we just talked about, Allen and Benedict, and I saw who else did I see? Brian, who else?
You watched the Edward Waters VUL game.
Yeah. Edward Waters and VUL. I saw those. Hey, real quickly, fellas, because I can't get nobody to answer my questions.
Okay.
Is VUL a real football program, or is that just like say I'm like you're Fulford University, I'm Farasi. I say, hey, I want to use your name. You know, because I mean, are they in a conference? Are they a black HBCU? I mean, talk to me. I know nothing. I mean, I've heard of VUL, but I didn't really know what they're doing. I thought it was just a coach that said, hey, let me use your name and I'll give you so much money. And they said, okay. I mean, is that not what's going on? I'm a comedian now. I'm Eddie Murphy.
No. Okay, Coach. Come on. Okay. So
Coach. Can I go first?
Yeah, please explain it. Break it down for
it. It's interesting. I talked to somebody who actually used to work at VUL. I'm not gonna call that person's name because I don't want to put that person's business out there. And he said point blank, VUL, the school is about the size of a church. You know, they got a few athletes there. not a lot of facilities there, and basically all they want to do is collect checks.
So they're equivalent
He
to
put it out there like that.
So they're equivalent to the school in California, Lincoln. They're equivalent to that school out in
Yeah.
Lincoln. They'll play you, give us some money, we'll come play you and make it look good, but we know how the outcome's gonna be.
And I also understand, no disrespect for VUL. VUL is like a 4-year prep school.
Okay. So that clears a lot of things, because I was looking. I'm trying to say they're not NCAA. They're not D2. I mean, because they played Edward Waters. They played Delaware State. I mean, that's 1AA. That's D2. So I'm thinking, are they independent so they get to play who they want to play? But I know there's some money on the table somewhere, so they'll play you for some money. So that's why I wasn't trying to be funny. If anybody's from VUL, for the coaches or anybody from VUL, I'm not trying to insult you. I didn't really know what you guys were doing, but now I got a clarification. So you're a lot compared to the school out in California, the Lincoln out in California. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
We had
Lincoln, California is a clone.
Yeah, we had to do, Coach. I laugh because it's a lot of people ask that question. But yes, they played Division II schools. They played FCS programs. It does make you wonder what we lose in terms of our credibility by playing them, by playing Lincoln, because it does hurt the rating. It hurts your metrics and your numbers. But again, do we really care about that at the end of the day when we're playing on our own thing? We have the Celebration Bowl. We have this new bowl that they're starting for the CIAA and the SIAC. So when we have, Beach Bowl. So when you have your own, does it really matter how others categorize? That's one of those things that we're all starting to battle back and forth with. But
yes, sir. So, right. Like I say, if you guys have some pressing business to go ahead too, I appreciate this, and we can get together next week. I'll check those sheets in the middle of the week, Bryan, A.D, to let you guys know which games I'll be watching, and I look forward to always getting the band together on Sundays and doing this music. Hopefully, I know several schools have stopped playing as of yesterday. I don't know who actually is on the hot seat or who's looking for something, but everyone knows what I'm looking for. I've had plenty of people tweet saying, "Hey, Coach, I'm praying for you. Hope you land on your feet," things of that sort. So I know we still got some time, so I'm not in a nervous wreck or nothing like that, but I just want people to know I'm ready to get to work.
Yeah, we
give us your 30-second elevator speech, Coach.
What'd you say, brother?
Give us your 30-second elevator speech.
How you doing? My name is Farasi Norman. I believe in academics, discipline, structure, hard work. I'm very good at what I do. I'm a winner. I've won all my games. I recruit very well. I coach my coaches. I coach my team. If you're looking for the next coach to be your coach and you want to change the culture and atmosphere of what you're doing, please look no further than Farasi Norman. Ding.
No, not the ding. Coach, I love it. I knew that was coming. If you didn't do that, I was going to do the ding. So, Coach, you're the man. That's why we love you. We love you. That's our coach, soon to be somebody else's coach in the HBCU diaspora.
We're praying. Fellas, hey, once again, I appreciate your time, you guys. And I will be in touch with you guys by the middle of the week to let you know which games I watch, and look forward to doing this next week. Once again, if there's a President AD watching the show, which I know there is, please don't overlook me. I'll change it for you. I got you.
Make sure you can reach Coach on X at Coach Farasi, Farasi. That's where you can find him on X, formerly known as Twitter. Coach, be well. We'll talk during the week, and we'll let you know. We got a couple of good Division II championship games, so we'll point you that way, and then some other games as well. All right?
Not a problem, brother. Once again, I appreciate this. You guys be safe. See you soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. All right, that's Coach Farasi. You want to take a short elevator break and then come back with Charles, or just I need to blow my nose, so I feel like I need to take a
You just answered your question. Yeah.
All right, so let's take a quick 30-second or a quick. That's not even 30 seconds. We'll take a short break. Come back. Charles Edmond, Alcorn State Sports Radio. We're going to talk about Alcorn's beating of Southern, as well as what's happening in the SWAC, and so on and so forth. We'll talk about that and more right here on the BCSN SportsWrap. We'll be back in just a moment.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN SportWrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN SportWrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
When you're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN SportWrap. Bryan and A.D. here, and it's a pleasure to be joined by the voice of the Alcorn State Braves. That is none other than Charles Edmond of Alcorn State Sports Network. The Braves dominating Southern 44-21. Charles, did you make sure to check in on Carlos after that game just to make sure he's okay? You you guys hosted a show together, and Alcorn, the way Alcorn did Southern, I felt like you had to at least make a call just to make sure he was okay. Hold on, we got you. You're not on. Are you on mute? We don't hear you. We don't hear you. Hold on.
You may need to log out and log back in.
Yeah, the good old iPad, log back off and log back in real quick, Charles, if you can. Because if you can hear us, we can't hear you. Nope. All right, I'm gonna give you a chance to log back in here. We got Charles Edmond coming in. On Twitter
Brian.
at Starman Radio is where you can find him on X. Yeah.
You notice where Charles was doing the interview from?
It looked like an arena somewhere.
Yeah, the basketball arena. That's one school who doesn't, although they know their coach and they've got a good basketball program over there, that's one school who's going to have to split their allegiance right now because their football program is still relevant.
I'm gonna see if you can guess where he's at. I'm gonna do this and see if you can figure it out. Whoa, pig, soo-wee.
That means he's in Arkansas.
It is. Yep. They take on the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. I noticed the exhibition game that Alcorn beat Miles 70-60 last Monday.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. There we go. I think we got you now. Charles, how you doing? Uh-oh. We still can't hear you.
Still can't hear you.
Your audio. Hold on. We'll give you.
And we know what he's doing because he does this every Saturday on the Carlos Brown Show. So we know what he's doing. And we're using the same platform.
Nope. Still don't hear you. Hold on. We'll give a second. He's going to plug something in and see. This is the magic of live podcasting and features as Charles pushes some buttons. It'll probably have some audio click in here at any moment now. But yeah, Alcorn State takes on let's see. Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. Bring you back in. Oh, I think now he's gonna. I think one last time. I think if he logs in now with the audio, this is the one thing about this platform. This platform and the iPhone, iPad thing. It's funky. It does that. Yeah, this is the first week. Tomorrow, college basketball officially starts. The HBCU landscape, men and women's basketballs, all across the country taking place. Maybe I'll give a quick mention at some point of who some of the power programs that we're playing, that our HBCUs are playing. I know scheduled to play. Yeah. Collecting a check from? Is that how I should better have worded that?
Cha-ching.
While we're waiting on Charles, I did want to make a mention of a couple of football notes here. Because there's some things that I pulled up. Again, shout out to Edward Waters University, who won 41-17 over those Virginia Lynchburg Dragons for the first time since 2004. The Tigers, Edward Waters, finished a season with a winning record. They finished 6-4, 5-3 in SIAC play, and at one point had a 5-game winning streak. So, very congratulations to Coach Toriano Morgan for what they accomplished. Also, give a shout out to Florida Memorial for their win. Florida Memorial picked up their 5th conference win over a school that you know of, Drew, 37-24 over Thomas University. And their record is 6-3, and actually have a chance next week to create a 3-way tie in the conference. So yeah, all right, let's see. Hey, I think we got Charles. Sounds like we do.
Good evening, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you.
This time we can.
It's what we call user.
Hey, Brian, let's just move our lips like Charles can't hear us, and he don't,
Don't be like that. Charles.
Oh, don't be like. I won't do you like that, Charles.
I know you're on the road. I was telling Drew. I was looking at the schedule. You are in Fayetteville, Arkansas, for tomorrow's basketball season opener. I'm assuming, yes.
No, sir. Not.
Uh-oh.
I am in Starkville, Mississippi with the Lady Braves. You know, they say ladies first. Ladies first. So the Lady Braves are first. They're first up on the docket. So I'm here in Starkville, which is a lot closer. Obviously, we had the game last night. So the men actually play at home on Wednesday against Xavier. So I thought it was a good trade-off. I would love to be in Fayetteville, been there before, but the Lady Braves are closer, could get back for the men. So 1-1, the women Monday and the men on Wednesday.
Okay. Hey, that's fair.
Which Xavier is that, Charles?
Xavier of Louisiana.
Oh, yeah. That could be.
It is his own stomping ground, so a very familiar team.
Oh, yeah. Coach Alfred Williams and Xavier should be coming in the building with the good squad, I'm sure. Okay, so obviously Alcorn 44-21 victory over Southern. You jumped on them 24-7. You stepped on the cat's tail earlier and just kept chopping. Describe what you saw? I mean, that was probably more of a dominating performance than you thought, huh, Charles?
Yeah, it was, but I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I like SWAC football in totality, and yes, the Braves did what they were supposed to do. But to watch a total collapse of the Jaguars, to me, was more shocking than anything. Undisciplined, player gets ejected, had over 100 yards in penalties, turnovers, mistakes. I did not see that coming. This is as a fan of the SWAC. Now, yes, I'm glad the Braves took care of business. And the Braves took advantage. You got to give them credit for it. You had a kid, Keenan Leishman, who was from Baton Rouge, who had a strip six and a pick six, and he's from Baton Rouge. His father went to Southern University.
Oh, wow.
He won Southern University on 2 different occasions. I just found out just within the last hour. There were 2 occasions in which the Jaguars had a chance to get Leishman. Leishman wanted to be a Jaguar. Didn't happen. Wound up a Brave. And he said after the game, it's personal. It's personal. That was a personal deal. You get it. But just the total dismantling of Southern University by their own volition. Turnovers, mistakes. I mean, look, the Braves did what they had to do, but when you get handed to something on a platter, you got to take advantage of it. The Braves definitely did that. And as a fan of the SWAC, you just could not believe what you were seeing after trailing 7-0. And I knew special teams would be a factor. And Akeem McNair, who normally doesn't return a lot of punts, he tried. I don't know what he was trying to do, but he lost it. Southern had a short field, something I knew we could not do because Southern offensively was very anemic. You can't give them a short field. And we did. They took advantage of it. But once the Braves got rolling, thanks to Southern University, they just took off, and the Jaguars did not respond.
5 wins in a row now, and really 6 of the last 7. And if it wasn't for that game against was it Prairie View where you lost at the end of the game, we'd be talking about a 7-game winning streak right now. Alcorn's playing as well as anybody in the conference, maybe even better than FAMU if you listen to some folks in Tallahassee.
Yeah. And when you look at this team, it's kind of transformed itself. I mean, defensively, we were playing well at the end of last season. So what you're seeing on the defensive side of the ball is nothing new. But coming into this season offensively, we were wondering, would Tyler Macon be the guy, the Missouri transfer, who got some snaps yesterday, by the way? Looks like he's healthy. He had been banged up. But what would this offense look like with Aaron Allen? Not a running quarterback a year ago. And he's been terrific, being able to move the pocket and get some things done with his feet. And he's just throwing the ball at a whole nother level, 1,000% better than it was last year before he got hurt against Grambling last year. So this offense has transformed themselves from what we know with Braves football to be run first, run second, to now all of a sudden out of the shotgun, 5 wide, spraying it all over the yard. That's something, if you told me 6 months ago that was going to be our offense, I never would have believed it. But that's probably the bigger story. We knew the defense was going to be good. We knew that. A lot of youth, a lot of athleticism. We lost a lot, but a lot of kids grew up last year. But this offense and the way that they've been able to get it done throwing the football is probably the bigger surprise in terms of how this season has gone as far as the last 7 games, as you mentioned. And our defense had been lights out against Prairie View until that last drive. Panthers kick a field goal at the horn, and right now that game is very much in play. And we got to continue our good work. And let's go Jaguars. I mean, can the Jaguars get off the deck at home against Prairie View coming up this week? If that's the case, we win the division come Sunday at 6 o'clock.
Amazing. Oh, wow. Go ahead, Drew.
Well, first of all, Charles, I hope you guys do go ahead and pick up that victory, because that will mean that your boy is right, because I picked Alcorn and FAMU back in July to be in the SWAC championship game. So I need y'all to do y'all part and not let this game Sunday be a trap game as you guys look forward to, obviously, what is formerly known as the Soul Bowl. I don't know what the heck we call it these days. With Jackson State coming up 3rd week of November. And I'm going to be honest with you, Charles. The one team out the West that scares me as a FAMU Rattler is Alcorn State. So what is it that makes Alcorn special? And should we get that matchup between Alcorn and FAM, what is it that Alcorn can do to beat FAMU?
Fight. Fight. One word. Fight. You know, we lost to Prairie View, right? We come back against Alabama State. They have the ball in the lead with 4 minutes left at our 5-yard line. They fumble the doggone football. We get the ball deep in our own territory. We fight. We battle. Our receivers make plays. We send it overtime and win that on a field goal. And from there, you just felt like confidence was building on this team because there was a lot of uncertainty coming out of that Prairie View game. Would we be able to figure this thing out? So if there's one thing that Rattler fans up, and Willie Simmons knows this because Fred McNair was a quarterback's coach when Willie Simmons was the offensive coordinator at Alcorn. So Willie Simmons knows all about Alcorn. I guarantee he's got one eye on the Braves, probably as we speak. The one word I would say is fight. We're going to keep fighting and fighting and fighting and battling. You might scratch your head. You might kick the table. You might kick the chair. But we're going to figure out a way to continue to fight, come up with a turnover, a big play, and just kind of build it from there. That's the one thing I would say about this Braves team that's undeniable because during this streak, look, Valley, it was 10-7 at halftime. It was 14-7 with UAPB at halftime. You just got to keep fighting and making plays and building on it. So even though, we're one of the hottest teams in the league, we've been a second half, we've been a fourth quarter team. The first half has just been kind of push and pull. That Southern game last night was the best first half that we've had all year long. Now, the Jaguars handed it to us on a platter. There's no doubt about that, but we took advantage of it. So I think for Fred McNair, that four-quarter game, I think he got a lot of that yesterday, and now we got 2 tough games on the road, and we got to keep it up.
All right, Charles. Enough about Alcorn because there's 2 other teams right there on Alcorn's tails. Should Alcorn slip, that have a shot to win the SWAC West, and one of them actually owns the tiebreaker against you guys. That being Prairie View and Southern, who take on each other this week. What do we have to look forward to in that particular game, Charles?
I have no idea as far as Southern is concerned. We're pulling for Southern University, and I've said this to Carlos on his show many a time. When the Jaguars need to win a big game at home, and they've beaten Alcorn the last 2 times at home, but for the most part, when Southern needs to win a big game at home against one of the top-tier teams in the league, they just can't get it done. I challenged them against FAMU. They didn't get it done. I challenged them against Jackson State. They didn't get it done. And this is a big game just in terms of staying in the conversation. And it's senior day. It's their last game. You want to go out with a bang on senior day. Do I think the Jaguars can pick themselves up off the mat? I don't. I'm sorry. I love the Jaguar Nation. I love Baton Rouge. And I don't think too many people disagree with me that Southern University at home in Mumford, they play with a lot of tense moments. They're tense. They tighten up at home. Maybe the fans, I don't know. But I don't have a lot of faith that Southern can rise up and get it done at home Saturday. I just think that they probably feel like they're done. I mean, the Braves just took it to them. And what does Southern have to look forward to, really, other than just senior day, staying in the conversation halfway, getting ready for the Bayou Classic? That may not mean anything in terms of, the SWAC standings, but I don't think that Southern can rise up. I'm just saying that just as a SWAC fan. I'm putting my SWAC fan hat on right now. I'm not looking forward to much from Southern University, considering what happened yesterday. A lot of anger, a lot of frustration with the Jaguar Nation right now. I don't expect much from Southern University. I might be wrong, but based on what we just saw yesterday, how can you pick yourselves up off the deck based on the dismantling in the first half last week? The undisciplined penalties, the offense, it's a struggle. Defensively, they hang tough, but when you can't get anything done offensively, you put a lot of stress and strain on your defense. So what I expect, I think Southern will play with a little bit of passion, a little bit of heart, but Prairie View's just a better team, and Prairie View's just trying to stay in the conversation. And I do think, Brian, they're trying to avoid that mantra of not finishing strong. The last 2 years, they've lost to Valley. The Braves knocked them out of the Western Division race last year. FAMU handed it to them last week, but I think Prairie View just wants to show that they can at least stay in the conversation. So I think Prairie View has a lot to prove too.
What's fascinating hearing you talk about Southern, it's exactly how I felt about Prairie View after the family game, because Prairie View literally had got outscored 75-7 in the last two games, shut out by the Houston Baptist School, and then we put 45-7 on them. And I watched that Prairie View team, and I really was. I'm really miffed looking at them. I'm just like, how are they going to? I don't trust them to win the West. I really don't. But like you said, now they're the ones just 2 weeks, 2 weeks removed from probably your lowest point. Now you're the ones that get a chance to really take out Southern, which really that could be an elimination game if they take out Southern. And then they're sort of on the sideline rooting for whether it be Texas Southern or Jackson State, who you all have to play. I think does Prairie View still have a game again? Hold on, I'm scrolling through the schedule now. I'm trying to see. Well, they've got Alabama State, so it's not going to be a cupcake road for them either. But this thing is not over for anybody, even though you guys are kind of in that driver's seat. I'll say it like this, Charles. You're in the driver's seat today, this week, but that could change Saturday night, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If the Braves can win the division Sunday at about 6:00, if the Braves beat Texas Southern and obviously Southern wins their game with Prairie View, I think when you look at this SWAC season, there have been probably 3 or 4 head scratcher games that just makes you want to scratch your head and go, huh? FAMU dismantling Jackson State. That makes, the way that game went down, makes you scratch your head. Then FAMU, Prairie View. That was a head scratcher, just the dismantling of Prairie View. And then the game yesterday, Alcorn and Southern. When you just look at the season from start to where we are now, there aren't many games that just makes you go, huh? And those 3 games, in my humble opinion, did. And look, I'm glad the Braves won, but I think if you're a SWAC fan, you didn't expect to see that. That's the game of the week last week. You didn't expect to see that 31 unanswered after the Braves led 7-0, and after Southern led 7-0. Come on, you just didn't expect that. So I don't know what to expect, but when you look at Prairie View, they're a team that stays patient. Against Alcorn, they stayed patient to the run. They were struggling to run the football all game, but they put it together in the fourth quarter. They came up with the one drive that they needed to kick the field goal, and that's the one game that's keeping them in it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in it. So I think if you're looking at Prairie View, you're looking at them going to Baton Rouge, catching a wounded Southern team. I guarantee you Coach McDowell is saying that and preaching that. And I don't know if Southern's going to rise up or not at home. I don't. I hate to say it because I love Baton Rouge and the atmosphere and the Jaguar Nation and the gumbo and the chicken wings and everything that Muffin Stadium has to offer, and the fans. But I think many Jaguar folks would agree with me that this is maddening. This is maddening. And I thought Southern would play their best game of the year yesterday, Brian. I really did. I thought they would play their best game of the year because they had no choice but to play their best game of the year. All the talk, all the fussing, all the cussing, and what the Jaguars have done and not done. I thought they would rise up and play well, but they didn't. And so I don't know what's going to happen. But this Prairie View team, I just think they're just, as they say in the streets, sitting in the cut, waiting for the Braves to stumble. That Jackson game, I'm concerned about Jackson, but I was telling somebody earlier today, I'm more concerned about Texas Southern. If you look at where the Tigers are now and what they could have been, the Tigers much could have been in this Western Division race. They blow a 17-point lead against Prairie View. They had FAMU 14-0. They had Southern on the ropes with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And they beat Jackson.
Yeah.
You can play the what if game if you want to. They win 3 of those 4 games. They're very much in the Western Division race. But that's not the case. And so I think, the law of averages says that at some point they're going to break through. And let's hope it doesn't happen Sunday. That game's been changed from Saturday to Sunday. Texas Southern will be a challenge, as Kelvin Carter just tweeted in. They will be a challenge because they feel like they're the biggest spoilers out there. And that's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah. So again, that game is Sunday, November 12th, 2:00. So it kind of pushes the schedule back. So you all will. So the one advantage is the team will know where they stand going into that game. So it's kind of it could be a little extra motivation. It should be motivating either way because you're looking at it, by saying, hey. Well, either way, you're looking at it saying, "Hey, we can't lose. If we lose, now we lose our control. If we win the championship." So either way, you're going into that game with some kind of motivation, which I think will be good for Alcorn. Let me ask you this, and kind of change the subject to: it's already been announced that the SWAC championship game will be played in Tallahassee, not at FAMU, as done everything they need to do to have the best record. So hooray, y'all, for that. But I'm curious, as someone who you've been a part of seeing how the logistics and how it works hosting a SWAC championship game. How does that talk a little bit? And Southern, I think, was the team that came in that first year, correct? So how do the logistics work? Do both teams get an equal amount of tickets? The band situation, both bands coming, press box. What can you share or give insight to Rattler Nation? Rattler fans, media just in general, on what to expect from hosting the SWAC championship game.
First of all, Brian, I want to congratulate you, in person. I sent you a text about it, and job well done to your Rattlers. It's nothing like when your school is playing for a championship, whether it's a Celebration Bowl or whether it's a SWAC, it doesn't matter. The adrenaline is just off the charts. So congratulations to the Rattlers, well deserved. They did what they needed to do, and other teams open up the pathway for them. I mean, so you can't take it away from them. As far as I know, we hosted the first 2 SWAC championship games on campus. So the SWAC does get involved in terms of media passes and credentials. Andrew Roberts of the SWAC office will work in conjunction with your SID. And I'm sure the media, a lot of the media interest in the game. And so, it's just like a regular neutral. They try to treat it as a neutral site. It's just you're holding it on campus. I'm sure there'll be a press conference. I'm sure there'll be practice availability. So I think that's really important, to treat it as a championship type of game. The other aspect of it, from my understanding, from a financial standpoint, I know you always talk financials. I think, when you host a championship game, you keep the money. You keep the money that's involved. Parking, ticket sales, all of that's yours. So, it's been talked about, at least at Alcorn. When we hosted it, we probably made about $1 million with all the parking and the ticket sales, with Southern University coming in. The bands are a part of it. They'll have their usual spots, so that won't change. But this is a championship game with media availability and everything that's involved with it. So, if you're the Rattler fans, you're playing at the house.
I'm intrigued at how it will be. Like I said, that's one of the things we're trying to reach out to Dr. McClellan, because I'm intrigued about the setup, because you're used to your setup when you have your home games. Your band always sits in a certain place. Your visitors are always in a certain area. But if it's a neutral site, I'm intrigued by how that might look, because I know when I posted something last week asking, and I was asking Rattler Nation who would they like to see, and it started floating between Southern and Alcorn, and then somehow I think some Alcornites got involved, and then I think it just took off towards Alcorn. So Alcorn is who the poll says people want to see. So I got a feeling there will be a good contingent of Braves Nation coming, to Tallahassee. So I'm just curious about what the space and what Bragg Stadium would look like. That's kind of my big interest.
I can tell you this much: some alumni, quite a few, have already booked reservations, hotel reservations in Tallahassee.
I hope they got them while the hotel was still cheap.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Some fans, I think somebody in administrator has already looked into Atlanta. I mean, just kind of looking ahead, and they say hotel rooms are off the chart price-wise in Atlanta. And so I was talking to somebody about that today. But our fans are looking forward to it. If that does happen, I think the history between these two schools, we played for a championship in 1968 when Marino Castle was. I have an old poster that I had that I found in a file cabinet years ago. It's probably a collector's item, playing Florida A&M in the Orange Blossom back then. And so I'm looking forward to that if it happens. Got a lot of work to do, but it's just the history between Willie Simmons and Alcorn, being an offensive coordinator, the turnaround of our program. He was part of Jay Hobson's staff at Alcorn. So I think that's going to add a lot of extra juice to it if, in fact, it happens. And then you got two teams offensively that are really playing well. I mean, Florida A&M's really, really, really good offensively. Willie Simmons knows how to mix and match. Our offense is doing the same thing. So if it does come to that, I think that's going to make it a really, really intriguing and an exciting game. And I love Tallahassee. I made my first trip ever to Tallahassee during basketball season. Yeah. I love the setup. So if that happens, I'm really looking forward to it. And I think it'll be a terrific football game. Terrific if it gets to that point.
I agree 100% with you. I think it's going to be a great day. And like I said, everybody's got to do their part over these last couple of weeks. The season's not over. And look, I still maintain FAMU is still playing for perfection. I know we have this Lincoln, California team. Everything we do, everything that everyone else has done against Lincoln is how FAMU is going to be compared. I mean, Tennessee State put 50 on them, shut them out. God forbid we give up a field goal. I mean, the roof will cave in. If we don't break 50, Rattler Nation would go nuts. So, and then we got to play the Florida Classic. We have to beat Bethune. We cannot end the season with a loss to Bethune. I don't care what their record is. I don't care that they're 1-7, 8, 9, 10 going into that game. You can't lose to Bethune and then expect to roll into the SWAC championship game the next week. So we're still chasing perfection. So it's a lot on the line for everybody.
Well, let me ask you this, Brian Fulford. Our former baseball coach, Brett Richardson, who's now back at Florida A&M as a third base coach, he shared the stories between Bethune and Florida A&M. He says down in Tallahassee, and you would know this, they don't call him Bethune-Cookman, they call him Cookman. Is that fact or fiction?
Yes,
it's fact.
I still call them BCC. Matter of fact, I still call them BCC. So there's Cookman, BCC, the little school down in Daytona, whatever you want to say. That they're all of those things and more.
That school on the water.
The school on the water.
Let me say this about FAMU. This is going to be interesting to see how Willie Simmons plays this. And we've been in a situation where you guys are in. So you're playing Bethune-Cookman at the end of the season. At the end of the season, we play Jackson State. We have played Jackson State years in which we've already wrapped up the Eastern Division. We were in the Eastern Division at the time. One year we lost at home to Jackson State before we went to Houston to play for the championship. And I'm thinking, okay. And that was a history lesson for me in this rivalry, Alcorn and Jackson State. Our fans were so angry that we lost to Jackson State, even though we won the division. I'm like, look, yeah, we lost to Jackson State, yes. But yet we're playing for a bigger prize, the SWAC championship. You know what some alums told me? If we win the championship because we lost to Jackson, in their mind is considered a half a championship. It ain't the whole thing. That's just how much that they take that Jackson State Alcorn rivalry seriously. Just like I'm sure Rattler fans take the Bethune-Cookman rivalry seriously, as you mentioned. But I'm anxious to see how Willie Simmons is going to play this rest versus rust. You got a little time to get ready for the championship at the house, whoever it is. How do you play it? You rest guys. I thought Southern would score 100 against Lincoln. As it turns out, that wasn't the case. So I'm anxious to see how Willie Simmons plays these last couple of games.
Well, I hope it's play to win, but play to give guys an experience. Meaning, I hope the starters play the whole first half, and then you start mixing in some of those second and third string guys in the second half. I don't think that's outside of the realm. And then the Bethune game, I think you play that until it gets to be a 3-touchdown lead. And then once you have a 3-touchdown lead in the third quarter, take that. 3 touchdown in the fourth quarter. Thank you. 3 touchdown in the fourth
quarter. 4 touchdowns. I need 4 touchdown lead.
I was gonna say 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to play. That's my line right there. So
happen. Not gonna happen. I mean, look, when it comes to these rivalry games, there is no calling the dogs off. You know that, right? The days of calling the dogs off in football are over. So
yes, because we got 9 years. We 9 years. That's a decade. You got to throw in a COVID year. So there was a decade of losing. So Bethune gets no breaks because you had a decade of running smack at us. No, you get no break, and we're only on year 2 of the payback.
I won't even stop in Bethune if I need gas and I'm on I-95.
I hate to say it because
we're in Daytona.
I'm about sportsmanship too. I mean, you shouldn't, score 80 points or whatever it is, but that's not sports today. If a team can score 70, Melvin Spears, who used to be a coach at Alcorn and at Grambling, he said something many, many years ago. He said, if you're trying to score down 60-7, I'm trying to score up 60-7. And I think that mantra is true today when you see all these teams early in the season scoring 60 and 70 points. So the days of calling off the dogs are over. And, hey, but you got to look out for the bigger prize, though. You get guys hurt and you're up 58-7 and they're not available for the SWAC championship game. That's going to be talked about all over social media and on the Black College Sports Network, too. So Willie Simmons got to kind of weigh in all that as he gets down the stretch.
Yes, indeed. All right, we got to let you go, Charles, because we gotta do the top 5, and then we got to get out of here from the bonus hour. Let people know again the schedule that you're covering, obviously basketball, and let people know what they can expect from the Alcorn State Sports Radio Network.
Yeah, this is a busy time. Basketball season starts tomorrow. The men and women are in action. We'll have men's action coming up this week. We go to Houston next week. I'll be in Arkansas for a men's game, UAB. So this is a busy time for me. Support SWAC basketball. I know our fans are all into football, and we talk about, getting interested in SWAC basketball. We usually don't seriously until after the Super Bowl, and I'm going to catch heat for it, but we just don't. We're in the football right now. We're in the NFL, the Colts, the Rams, the Rattlers. It's okay, but I'm hoping that we do a really good job in winning some of these non-conference games in the SWAC. That's my schedule, and just waiting to see how this thing plays out. It's an exciting time of the year.
Yes, indeed. And I'm glad you got some home basketball games this year. I know you've already played one against Miles, and then you got the one coming up against Xavier. So that's a positive. That's a positive. You got to get people interested in learning about the team, knowing the team, seeing the team, for them to follow the team. You can't wait until the conference season to give somebody a taste of the team. And then they're like, wait a minute, what you guys have been playing for the last 2 months? Like, yeah, we've been playing the last 2 months. You didn't know? Oh, okay. But anyway. All right. Have a good week this week, Charles. Hopefully you guys get some wins. And hopefully you guys have a good experience. And good luck to the Braves on Sunday.
Yeah, my Rams are struggling. The Braves are all I got to talk about, Brian. I have nothing else to talk about on that front. Go Braves.
I didn't even know your quarterback wasn't even playing, Charles. I'm thankful I don't even have him on my fantasy team because I'd have been upset. I didn't even know he wasn't playing. So
that's a Matthew Stafford, by the way. I think the Rams are going to try to unload him at the end of the year. That contract is too bloated.
Hey, Kirk Cousins is available. Anyway. You're like, nah, you know what? Okay. All right, Charles, it's good to hear from you. At Tallman Radio is where you can find him on X. Make sure you follow Charles and make sure to check out his work with the Alcorn State Sports Network. All right, Charles, appreciate you. Thanks. All right. Drew, let's get into our top 5. Do you want to? I'm going to load up the slide, or should you?
I guess I thought I had it loaded earlier.
Hold on, I'll get it. I'm here.
All right.
Top 5 rankings, BCSN top 5 rankings, games played through November 4th. Any other note when you look through the show notes? Any other things that you wanted to hit on that we maybe didn't talk about?
No, let's get these top 5s. Let's get these picks that we forgot last week and get out of here.
I do want to. Did I mention about my 2-team? I did mention my parlay, the A&T Hampton parlay. I didn't mention that. South Carolina State defeating Howard at homecoming. Given everything that South Carolina State was going through, South Carolina State's AD essentially resigned. I want to say under the cover of darkness, but pretty much didn't nobody know that she had resigned. At least it didn't publicly get out until the next week when she had resigned abruptly on a Friday. The weekend goes by. South Carolina State obviously didn't have a game because they played on Thursday. And then a report kind of came out on Monday that, Buddy Pugh's now the AD. You're like, what? What happened to Keisha Campbell? And
so that was a Friday news dump after a Thursday night football game. Nobody was looking.
I knew. I think she may have turned it into one person. I don't know. I'm messing. I don't know. All I know is I saw on social media, I saw this photo of her, and she had this very beautiful, calm, relaxed smile, which was her new Twitter profile. I said, you go ahead, Madam AD. You whatever is going on at South Carolina State, you look calm and comfortable with leaving whatever mess there is with somebody else. And it must be some mess because she is an alum of South Carolina State. So, I don't know. There's a story there that I'm sure we'll get more into and we'll learn more about. But man, so with all that said, Drew, here comes Howard, right? Howard, who's needing a win to stay even with North Carolina Central to set up next week's big showdown. And what do? They lose 27-24. Howard, as Joshua Sims retold the story this morning, there's hell to pay coming this weekend in the terms of North Carolina Central. And they're coming for Howard. That may be. I jokingly said that North Carolina Central may beat Howard by 40. Yeah, there's blood to be shed. North Carolina Central has no love for Howard, and the way Howard is playing, I want no parts of Howard. I don't even know what the line's gonna look like, Drew, but this might be a hold my nose and just slide the money onto North Carolina Central and don't even look. Don't even look at the beating that's about to take place because it might get ugly. Just slide your money over on North Carolina Central and just walk away. Walk away from the counter and then come back in about 5 hours and collect your check and just do it quietly. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's get into these top 5 rankings for the week. Week number 10 in the HBCU football world. Starting with our non-Division I teams. Our teams that are in the hunt, our teams that would probably be 6 through 10. And there you see Miles, Tuskegee, Edward Waters, Fayetteville State. Very surprised to see Fayetteville State so low. But then again, you think about their schedule and it has been
that record is incorrect. Just by the way.
For who?
Fayetteville State.
Oh, okay. Yes, it is. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, but the numbers are correct. The points are correct. So
yes.
Please forgive. All right. Number 5 is Fort Valley State finishing up. Right now, it might be their season, finishing up at 7-3, 6-2 overall. We'll wait to see whether they receive any kind of invite to that Beach Bowl. Number 4, Virginia State. Their season may be over as well. 8-2, 6-2 in conference play after that loss to Virginia Union. Number 3, Florida Memorial coming in at 6-3, 5-1 in conference play. The Sun Conference. Who does Florida Memorial have this upcoming weekend, Drew?
They have Kaiser.
Okay, and Kaiser is one of 2 teams that. Well, wait a minute. How's the standings go? Kaiser's the undefeated team.
Yes.
All right, and so
Florida Warriors tied with St. Thomas
at 5-1. St. Thomas beat Florida Memorial. That's their only loss. Kaiser beat St. Thomas, and so if Florida Memorial can beat Kaiser, then you got a 3-way tie for possibly the conference title.
Correct.
And I don't know who would go to the playoffs in that scenario.
I'll let you know when I find out.
Yeah, okay. So, number 2, Virginia Union, just slowly moving their way up to number 2. 9-1, 7-1, about to play in the CIAA championship against Fayetteville State. Number 1, unbeaten Benedict College, wire to wire, number 1 in our rankings. 2nd consecutive 10-0 season, and with the win in the SIAC championship, it'll be their 2nd consecutive 11-0 regular season. Congrats to Coach Chennis Berry. Records are wrong, but the rankings are right. Benedict, number 1, Virginia Union 2, Florida Memorial, Virginia State, and Fort Valley State. All right. Moving ahead to our Division I side in our top 5 rankings. This will be interesting. In the hunt. Big road win for the Hampton Pirates, who, I was on the right side of this, Drew. When I first looked at this line, Hampton was an 8-point favorite. And every time I refreshed, about every 15 minutes, it kept going down from 8 to 7. And then I looked, and it was 5. And I was like, God, dog, everybody must be thinking like me. There's no way Hampton is an 8-point dog. Sure enough, their outright winner is what they were. Plus 200 is where I saw it. Again, I made the mistake of pairing it with North Carolina A&T on homecoming, and it cost me. I should. Damn you, A&T. Damn you. Anyway, Howard, Alcorn State, watch for them to rise up, and Southern. That's in the hunt. Teams 6 through 9 is what we would categorize those in our rankings. Number 5 is Jackson State. Ooh, that's a bit of a drop, if I'm not mistaken. Jackson State, I think, was 4 last week.
They bounce from 4 to 5 every week.
Interesting. 7-3, 5-2 overall. They've got their last game is Alcorn. They got a bye coming up.
Yes.
Okay, a bye.
They have a rare late season November bye.
Right, and that's because probably
because of the BX Challenge.
Yeah, week 0. They played the BX Challenge in week 0. So Jackson State is in 5th. 4 is Alabama State. They got a win over Grambling by a score of 17-6 in Mobile. Alabama State is going to be an interesting play for, I think they still have Prairie View on the schedule.
Yes, they got Prairie View the last week of the season.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting ball game, especially if Prairie View.
I hope Prairie View don't need that game.
Yeah, if Prairie View happens to need that game, because I think as Charles explained, if Southern wins, then that means Alcorn would win the West. But if Prairie View, am I saying that right? Yes. If Prairie View wins, then they still have to play Alabama State, and Alcorn would play Jackson State. So it'd be some interesting East versus West battles in the final week of the regular season to determine who would win the SWAC West. And it would guarantee, if Prairie View wins, it guarantees that the Bayou Classic will just be the 50th Bayou Classic and won't mean anything to anybody out of the state of Louisiana. I'm just sorry about that, Chuck Hunt. Sorry. Number 3, dropping for the first time in a long time, Tennessee State. They did lose a game, 35-21. Disappointing outcome for them. They lost to Charleston Southern. Gabe Gardenia, over at Charleston Southern, beating up on Eddie George.
HBCUs, if you can avoid it, do not play a Gabe Gardenia's coach team. He beat HBCUs, obviously, when he was at Albany State. And now he goes to a non-HBCU and comes back and beats an HBCU still. He's got the HBCU number when he's coaching against them.
Is Tennessee State officially out of the OVC race? There's no chance.
They've got a puncher's chance.
And they pretty much ruined their chances of a playoff bid, too, I think, at this point.
That's probably over.
Yeah. Amazing how that works out.
And any claims to an HBCU national championship
are gone.
Are down the toilet.
Flush. Number 2, Florida A&M moving up a week. The SWAC Eastern Division champs take on Lincoln, California, in sort of it's an exhibition game, but it's a real game. And then they close out the season against Bethune-Cookman before they host the SWAC championship in about a month on December 2nd in Tallahassee. Just waiting to see who they will play. It seems like, no, that's right. There is a 2-week gap between.
Yes.
That's an interesting conversation for another day.
There's always a 2-week gap because of the Bayou. And
well,
Turkey Day.
and I think there's that thing about the FCS only getting to play 11 games when the FBS can play 12. I know next year that won't be an issue. But anyway, moving forward, it's just something to think about. Number 1, North Carolina Central. Really didn't have any trouble with Norfolk State. It beat them 38-24 for homecoming. I'm wondering, Drew, did you notice somebody in Dr. Cavill's poll switched their vote? I don't know what that person could have been thinking, or could have been. I mean, like, nothing really changed on a week when Florida A&M beat Prairie View 45-7, right? And North Carolina Central beat a dazed and confused Buddy Pugh South Carolina State team 62-28?
Yes.
I mean, somehow that one voter said, oh, that makes North Carolina Central better. You've been voting Florida A&M first place for the last 3 to 4 weeks. And all of a sudden, and Drew, if you bear with me here, I'm specifically talking to whoever that voter is that flipped. You chose that 1 week to somehow, I don't even know what to say. You know, again, Prairie View was in first place in the West. Florida A&M beat them 45-7. South Carolina State was the same South Carolina State team that you saw get bludgeoned by Jackson State at the beginning of the year. And on a Thursday night with little rest, because they had just played Saturday, you chose to switch your vote. This is why I love computer rankings. That's all I'm going to say. But computer rankings have North Carolina Central in first place. And so I guess, hey, maybe they were looking at our computer rankings, Drew, and that was the reason why they flipped their votes. I don't know. All right. There's your rankings. Look at the gap. I refuse to believe that the gap is so big between Central and Florida A&M, but it is. Central, Florida A&M, Tennessee State, Alabama State, Jackson State. And there's your top 5 rankings. All right. Any comments or anything you want to throw in there, Drew?
No, sir.
All righty. Let's take a look quickly at our games for November 9th through the 5th. I'm just scanning. Obviously,
the 2 championship games.
We have the 2 championship games. Benedict versus Albany State played in Atlanta at Lockwood Stadium. We know Benedict, that's only that for those fans, it's about a 2-hour drive. For Albany, it'll be about so really it's about a good central location for both teams.
3.5 for Albany. Actually, Columbia is closer. Okay. Yeah, Columbia is closer than Albany.
Okay, so but Lakewood Stadium holds about 10,000 people. Be interesting to see what type of crowd that stadium brings in for that contest. How much of a chance are you giving Albany State, Drew? Who are you taking this game, Benedict or Albany? I don't have a point spread. Let me see if I can pull up a point spread real quick while you're thinking about
that. The Albany State of the last 2 weeks has a puncher's chance. The Albany State of the first 8 weeks will get blown out by 40. Which Albany State is going to show up? For Albany State, it's going to be real simple. They have got to keep the ball on the ground, and control the clock. But I don't know if you noticed this, Brian, but in that Fountain City Classic, there was a quarterback change at the end.
No, I did not.
And that's when Albany State came back. So the question that everybody needs to know is who's going to be taking the ball in the pistol for Albany State.
I'm pulling up Albany State's page right now and the box score. So yeah, I did not know that Deontay Banu
got pulled.
Banu got pulled, huh? I can't find the box score for whatever reason. Jaden Sullivan, huh? Ended up taking over from there. Interesting.
Now the thing that's interesting from the Benedict side, they are 2 totally different styles of quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So now Benedict has to prepare for 2 different styles of quarterback.
And you know what? Maybe I'm sure Coach Gray will keep that close to the vest because that's what you want. You want your opponent thinking about who might be starting, who might be playing.
Look, with that Benedict defensive line, I don't think it matters who's under center.
If I set the line, I think a fair line might be about 13.5. Who you taking?
I'm still taking Benedict in the over.
Benedict, well, over how far? How far over? I mean, because they held Allen to 9 points.
That's why I'm taking Benedict in the over.
What?
I'm taking Benedict in the points.
Well, okay, I was going to say the over. I mean, hell, yeah. I mean, what? You think the line's going to be 30 points? No, the over under might be like 30. Might be 42. What if it's 41 or 42 points?
I'm still taking Benedict in the over.
In the over. Okay, so you're not giving much credit to the dirty blue defense. Huh? Okay. I got Benedict. I'll lay the 13.5. Okay. The CIAA championship. Virginia Union, Fayetteville State. 10-7. And a Hurricane. This one is hopefully nicer, cooler, yet calm conditions. Fayetteville State has kept games to a touchdown or less for 6 consecutive weeks, all of which they've won, by the way. And I think 7 of the last 8, or at least 7 games, they're 6-1, I think is the number. Either 7-1 or 6-1 overall in 1-score games, touchdown or less. Can they, Drew, stay with Virginia Union? How do you see this one going?
Yes, they can stay with Virginia Union. This will be a low-scoring ball game. You know, these two teams won't combine for over 40 points. You'll be lucky, honestly, if these two teams combine for 30 points. But
so look for an under if you see it anywhere.
Oh, I definitely would take the under in this game. Okay. But I just think Union is on a mission, and revenge mission equals W to me.
I do think it'll be a 1-possession, 1-score game still.
Definitely.
So if there were if the line were 6.5, I would have to shade towards Fayetteville State. I think anything 7 or under, I think you got to play Fayetteville State. And like, I agree with you. Anything under 38, I would get nervous if it got to the low 30s. But I could see this game going Virginia Union by a final score of 17-14. 17-12, maybe all field goals for Fayetteville State.
That's what I was going to say. They're both teams, if you gave me the over-under for total field goals in this game at 5, at 4.5, I would say take the over on the field goals in this game.
Okay. Let's go to our MEAC game of the week. And I mean, without a doubt, North Carolina Central traveling up to DC to take on Howard. Right now, it's a 3:30 Eastern game. Hey, you give Howard a puncher's chance, Drew?
Yeah, I do give Howard a puncher's chance. But it's kind of hard to punch Floyd Mayweather and hit Floyd Mayweather hard. And that's what Central is. Central dance all around Howard.
Yeah.
Central.
Yeah, I already told you how I'm feeling. I'm laying the points with Central, and I'm just gonna walk away. That's all I'm gonna do. No matter, I think there is a threshold, but I think, I don't think it'll be any higher than 2 touchdowns. But I would love to see a 13.5. Hell, even 14. I'm laying it with Central. The MEAC game is got to be Prairie View at Southern.
You mean the SWAC?
The SWAC game. The SWAC game is there are other games out there starting on a Friday night where you've got Grambling traveling to Pine Bluff, Alabama A&M traveling to Bethune, Alabama State traveling to Valley, but none of those have the ramifications of Prairie View traveling to Baton Rouge to take on Southern. 2 teams that, it's painful for these fan bases to watch their team just kind of be up and down. You don't know who's what. Dooley playing his old team. Dooley, I don't think he's coaching for his job, but man, what would a loss to Prairie View look like for Coach Dooley on the Bluff?
It would look like pressure because remember, Dooley only signed a 3-year contract initially.
Yeah. Well,
there definitely won't a loss here. There definitely won't be an extension in the offseason.
No, and you still got to play Grambling. So you still have to beat Grambling, but I think going into the Bayou knowing that it's all over, especially if Prairie View wins, and eliminates Southern. Yeah, that'll be tough. But if Southern wins, though, boy, we get to pay attention to some interesting scenarios the following week. It makes all for watching those East versus West showdowns actually mean something. So, who you got, Southern or Prairie View, Drew?
Charles always brings up an interesting stat. Southern in a big game at home is not cash.
Nope.
Prairie View. I got Prairie View in this particular game, which means that the last week of the season for Alcorn and Prairie View, it's actually going to be some scoreboard watching. So I think I'm going with Prairie View in this game.
Yeah, I'm going Prairie View as well. I hate to do that to Southern at home. I did pick Prairie View in the preseason. I don't like them at this point to win the West, but they still got a shot, and to stay alive going into the final week, they got to beat Southern. So it's about who do you trust, and give me the team that just won. At the end of the day, sometimes it just comes to that. Give me the team that just won.
Hey, Brian, wouldn't it be real anticlimactic? FAMU already sewn up the East, and Alcorn sews up the East this weekend, or the last week of the season, outside of the rivalry, means nothing in the race.
Yeah, you can start printing your T-shirts, and you can start it help. A lot of manufacturers can start printing T-shirts. Fans
T-shirt man
can start getting their reservations and travel plans in order. I think from that perspective, it'd be a good thing. But for the actual drama of football, a bad thing. So yeah, let's do this another week. Let's see what happens. And I'm going to take Prairie View over Southern and put an end to their season and go from there. So again, just kind of looking at it here, the SIAC championship will be 1 o'clock Eastern. I should have hit the mute button.
Yeah, you know not to move your headset.
I know. Is that an ESPN Plus game, the SIAC championship?
I believe so.
Okay. 1 o'clock Eastern in Atlanta. Should be worth it for those of you in the Atlanta area. The CIAA championship is in Salem, Virginia, Salem Stadium. That is on HBCU Go. And so that's where you'll be able to find that game.
Yeah. Brian, I think we still have one more game to pick, don't we? We only did 4.
Oh, you want to try to find a 5th one?
Yeah. It's only one candidate out there.
Oh, what's that?
Florida Memorial and Gaither.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I'll go first.
Yeah, go ahead. First. I don't know anything about. Hold on, I'm looking up the Sun Conference now, just to kind of see what type of team Gaither is.
Gaither, I believe Gaither has one of the top running backs in the Sun Conference. I know the top running back in the Sun Conference is down at Ave Maria. Florida Memorial, it's real simple. Florida Memorial is going to score big. Is going to score. They like to score off big plays. Problem with Florida Memorial is they will also give up the big play. Florida Memorial has got to limit the big plays against Kaiser. Kaiser is a team that, from what I've seen, like, if we'll keep it on the ground, they can air it out. But they are in first place for a reason in the Sun Conference. But Brian, you know what I'm going to say when it comes to matchups like this? Bet on black. And in this case, I'm betting on blue and orange.
Really?
Yes.
I don't know, Drew. I mean, Kaiser, the last 4 weeks, they put up 59, 54, 51, and 69. Actually, this school, let me see. They played St. Thomas to a 7-point game. And St. Thomas is that team who's also tied with Florida Memorial.
Yes.
So, what did? Oh, man, this is a tough one, man. You want me to bet on black? If I had a point spread, I'd bet on black. But hell, what the hell? I'll go Florida Memorial, and if I saw,
Or you can go Kaiser to pick up a game on me.
You know what? Yeah, I need that. I need to pick up a game. Hell, let me keep it real. I'm sorry, Florida Memorial. I hate to do that to you, but I gotta pick up a game on Drew. So I'll go Florida Memorial. Kaiser, excuse me. It's Kaiser, the number 6 ranked team in the country, by the way. Let's not sleep on that. But yeah, I'll go Kaiser. So at least I'll be able to get one game, because I think you and I picked the same thing on all the other games.
All the other 4 we the same.
Yeah, we're the same on all the others. Okay. That's going to do it for tonight's show. You can always donate to the show, support the BCSN a number of ways. You could do it on the super chat in the YouTube feed. You could hit the Cash App, MyJBN, MyBCSN on Cash App. You could also become a subscriber to our YouTube feed. You could join youtube.com MyJBN online/join. You can join the Jericho Broadcast Networks and continue to support our show and our efforts here. Want to encourage you to check out the BCSN Pod Zone. Support the Pod Zone. You know, there are ads that run during the Pod Zone for a reason. Support it. You know, please listen. Hey, download, share it, subscribe it. You know, anything you do on any platform is helpful, whether you're a Spotify listener, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple, Google Podcasts. All of those are great places to show your support of the network. Download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. MyJBN, MyBCSN is where you can support. And make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MyBCSN1. Want to thank all of our broadcast partners for a great football season. Of course, Benedict is still in it. So we say good luck to them, but we thank all of our other partners. Morehouse. I'm sorry. Morehouse. Yeah, Morehouse, who did get a win, by the way. Congratulations. Got win number 1 over Clark, who unfortunately will go winless, along with 2 other schools, Lincoln Memorial and St. Augustine, both winless. And then, of course,
now Lincoln both still has one more chance.
Oh, they still got one more chance.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we don't want to write them off just yet. So they got one more shot. We want to thank our partners over at Miles. Want to thank our partners over at Edward Waters, Tuskegee, Savannah State. Thank you for allowing us to cover your football seasons. And we look forward to a great basketball season upcoming, men and women's basketball for those schools along with Benedict on the Black College Sports Network. And then we'll add in Payne College as well, this upcoming season, as they don't have football. So, but we do cover Payne College as well. So that's going to do it for this show. We appreciate you. Hope you got an extra 60 minutes worth of goodness, and we appreciate you joining us. Make sure to stay tuned, stay logged in, stay subscribed, share our feeds and everything. So good luck to the teams playing for a championship next weekend, and make sure to follow all of the shows that are part of the Black College Sports Network throughout the week. For A.D. Drew, I'm Brian Fulford. Special thanks to our guest, Stephen Gaither, for joining us, Dr. Alvin Parker of Virginia Union, Coach Farasi Norman, and, of course, Charles Edmond of Alcorn State Sports Radio. That's going to do it. Peace out, be well, and God bless everybody.
Travel light. We'll holler.
But stay on hard.